Hello, everybody. How are you all? Appreciate your souls so very much. Definitely just want to say I hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Yeah, so let's get started. Welcome everybody to Guest House. This is an initiative started by friends for friends. I'm wishing everybody has been in good health and are healing together. And this discussion will be between from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So it's gonna be 2.5 hours, but it's 2.5 hours of like great stuff, but it might be extended if needed because this conversation is definitely needed. Just a reminder that this is part one. There is a part two coming, which definitely will be updated at the end of the discussion. I do ask that everybody mutes their mic, including the speakers, and then when the speakers, obviously it's your turn to talk, you will unlock your speakers. I do ask everyone to mute their mics. You can also like turn off your video if you like, just to hear us, and to please switch to speaker view as well. If you go to the top right corner of the Zoom screen where you see the grid, it should say grid view or speaker view. Click speaker view and you should see me and only me because I'm the only one talking. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. And yeah, again, just switch from grid view to speaker view, okay? We thank God and our ancestors for giving us the opportunity to come together and share our stories and experiences with each other. May we learn more about each other today and normalize this change along with our opinions and thoughts for the greater good. I would like to take this moment to thank my Black sisters and brothers for fighting for Black rights all over the world right now. Do you guys see the stuff that's been happening in Portland? That's absolutely crazy. I hope everyone here is seriously taking the time to further educate themselves on the inequality and aggressions our society and our government systems has out for Black people. Black Indigenous folks have suffered from the hands of the public since the beginning of time, and this movement, which has been happening forever, is just amplified now because there's camera and media, is truly just the beginning for greater change. But it all truly starts with you. I'm sorry. You want to be the change you want to see and do better than what you are doing now. Keep having those conversations with yourself and your peers to work on any internalized racism. Have the talk with your peers and then go back to yourself and have that talk again with yourself to work on your internalized racism to Black Indigenous people and even for people of color. Aspire to inspire. Sharing just ain't it. You gotta stop being performative and do more. If you don't think you don't know where you can do more, go look out for it. Start your own initiative, just like how we did for Guest House, just like how Amy did for Brown Sugar Talk. Start your own initiative, start to create change and do that for yourself. I would also like to acknowledge and honor the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories and lands of the many, many First Nations on which we are learning, working, and organizing on for this talk today. I think it's super important to acknowledge the land because me growing up as a born Canadian, I never was truly taught the true importance of the sacred land that I grew up on and who it like truly belongs to. It's easier to deny the Indigenous people their rights if we historicize their struggles and simply pretend they don't exist, which is currently happening in our schooling systems now. I would also like to take this opportunity to commit myself to the struggle against the systems of oppression that have possessed Indigenous people of their lands and denied their rights to self-determination that is essential to human rights all across the world. Guest House cannot thank everyone for supporting this initiative. Again, it was created by friends for friends in our community. I would also like to say thank you to our speakers tonight. Amy Sylla, Ali Daly, Jade Whitney, and Giulia Tripoli, who you all can probably see all around, for joining us tonight, as we can't thank you ladies enough. And this is going to be such a great conversation. I'm so excited to hear about this. Shout out to all the survivors and victims that have been coming out. You guys are truly, truly, truly inspiring and resilient just for doing so. And thank you for using your voices to save the world, seriously. And we believe you, we stand with you, and our doors are always open to you. Trust me, you DM us and we'll handle it from there. Our conversation tonight is part one to GUESThouse's Real Talks, real conversations by real members of our community who have been creating real change themselves. The speakers will be giving you all the little spices and flavors, and I'll be talking about part two at the end of the discussion. There will also be a chance for you to ask questions at the end of each speaker's talk, but let's get started, finally. Woo! Okay, just again, to reminder to everyone to mute their mics and make sure that you go to the upper right corner to I'm so sorry about all of this. Wow. Go to the upper right corner and make sure you switch from grid view to speaker view so you can see me and just the speakers. Okay, so our very first speaker, you know her, you love her, you'll love her tweet rants. It's Ali Daly. Ali Daly is an artist manager, event producer, and creator from Toronto. Ali has been working in events for years and has worked for events such as Her Creative, Industry Night, Manifestio, Indie Music Week, Hit the Floor, and other notable awards. A role model, to say the least, to me at least. Ali strives to better the dance community by creating and facilitating opportunities through her phenomenal work at the Cost of Talent Management and her time at Millennium Dance Complex, Toronto, and please Millennium, come back. So she is plenty educated on the event scene in our communities. Ali hopes to continue to work with other like-minded individuals to create community where safety is a priority, and I appreciate this woman so much for being an inspiration to me, inspiration to everyone, and I love her voice because she is loud and everyone needs to hear her. So without further ado, let's talk to Ali.
Oh my gosh. I am blushing, Safa, you nice human you. Hi everybody. I'm Ali. You may know me, you may not know me. I am definitely like a little bit of like a hermit. At times, I'm like always like around, like I love, a back left corner of Mod Club. I love to stand there and just be like observant. So yeah, like Safa said, I've sort of done a little bit of everything in the dance community. I've been a dancer myself. I worked on the business side of things. I worked at Da Costa Talent, like a primarily dance agency in Toronto, and I worked on like the business side of things and in events mostly. So, Safa approached me about this conversation. I definitely have been pretty vocal in the past about this. This is something that like hits close to home for me. So specifically though, for the purpose of this conversation and in the dance community in general, I want to speak about the event sector specifically, and like the female representation in the dance world, and also just like about female representation not only in events but just like in dance in general, because it's not something that we definitely see enough of, that's for sure. So and specifically, sorry, I literally have notes because I ramble and I have to like keep myself in check. So I wanted to talk about different kinds of sexual assault, because I think that sometimes this issue, and the reason why this issue comes to light is because we hear like often graphic violent stories and then everyone's like, whoa, this is happening. Whereas like there's a lot of, behavior and sexual assault that happens day to day that is just as bad, and not as much recognition goes there because it doesn't like shock people, or it happens every day basically. So specifically, I'm going to kind of start by talking about female representation in the dance community. Luckily, we're very fortunate to have people like Stephanie Gorin, like Amy Wright, that are female casting directors, and they also specifically work in the dance sector a lot, which we're really lucky. This isn't the norm by any means, but we're really lucky to have them. It's really great that we have those kinds of people that look out for us, just on that business side again. But what really bothers me, I've already begun, what really bugs me specifically about those different kinds of sexual assault is one that is very, very not talked about enough is predatory behavior. And this happens in studios, in dance studios from a young age, in competitions, in events. I've seen it in events more than anything, and every day. And it really bothers me because, people brush it off as as something that isn't necessarily assault because you can't really prove it, and it doesn't always have those physical, and I use the word physical very lightly, but those physical damages. And yeah, that just needs to stop for sure. But I wanted to specifically, again, go into kind of events and talk about something that I tweeted about. This is a plug. I love to tweet about the dance community on Twitter. So if you are not on Twitter and you want to hear what I have to say, you can follow me on there. But I tweeted something about a month ago about gatekeepers in the Toronto community, and how in Toronto, all of the gatekeepers are men. And when I use the word gatekeeper, I don't mean people that have their own programs, or that they have their own pieces, like choreographers. That's not what I mean by gatekeeper. I mean people that are handing people opportunities. So people that create and run showcases, agents, studio owners, etc. There's a lot of people in these positions in Toronto specifically that are men. And this is one of my 2 a.m. thoughts that I was having about a month ago. And it just pissed me off so much, because those are the people that are handing people opportunities and also making decisions. And in the conversations that I've had over the last little while about, studios in Toronto, behavior of certain studio owners coming to light, in the experience that I've had in women running those spaces, Giulia is a great example. As a woman, safety and integrity is a priority in everything that we do. And that's something that isn't always a priority for men, and not because they don't care, but because they don't need to think about safety. They don't need to think about having safe, clean spaces for women to work and operate. That's something that we prioritize. And that just isn't something that they necessarily prioritize all of the time. I'm not, generalizing that that's the way it goes for every single man that runs something in Toronto, but for the most part, it's just really tough to find spaces or find organizations or find showcases that are built on that kind of integrity and that kind of safety. Obviously a peer friend of mine, when Ella Avila started her, that was a really big thing for a lot of us in the city, because it was finally an event that we were able to work on that was female centric, and also that was important to all of us. And it just made everybody feel safe and empowered. And it was such a great event for women in the city. And we need more of that, And something else that I've talked about with Ella a lot in general is that, we have these showcases and we have these moments for women. It's we're doing it on International Women's Day, and it's a big female empowerment event, but all we want is to be equal. It's they throw us a bone by doing, all female faculty workshops, where it's well, just make it even. You give us one day, you give us one workshop that it's an all female lineup, and then you go back to hiring the same 6 guys for everything. This is what happens, and it's a cycle, and we want more representation across the board always, is something that I think is really important to a lot of us. And you see it even in show lineups. It's the same 10 guys all the time. Am I right? You know what I mean? It's just the same guys all the time. And it's there's enough female choreographers, there's enough female creators that we can make it work. It's just, it needs to be normalized a little bit more. Also, another conversation that I was having with a friend when all of this, stuff with studio owners went down, is that the barriers to entry for women in business in general and in arts are way higher than they are for men, And my first thought is when people are talking about opening up a studio and stuff, and when I had this thought myself, I'm well, I don't have any money, and I don't know how I would do it, and where would I get a space, and what would I do, and women think that way. And so in business, it's just harder for us to like start those businesses or make those decisions or take the leap. And that's in every industry. That's in tech, that's in music, a lot of like engineering, sciences, etc. Like that's just a norm, unfortunately, for us. And we need to start normalizing women in those positions of power more. Personally, that's just what I think. And then also on the event side of things, again, it just feels like when I watch pieces at Fever After Dark, you know, and these are showcases just generally in Toronto, it's usually women being treated the same way all the time in those pieces. And just in general, like when you go into a rehearsal and there's a guy section, a girl section, and a partner section, and that's the way it is. And you're gonna, you know, the costume is black, red, and white, and the girls are gonna wear bra tops, and the guys, you can wear baggy hoodies and do whatever you need to do. And whether it's a female or male choreographer, this is like the norm. This is what happens. And I've had friends that have literally left dance and have stopped dancing because of that, because make them feel uncomfortable. And again, it puts women in this vulnerable place, whereas like this is where you have to be. Like this is your lane. Like you're gonna put on the jean shorts and the bra top, and you're gonna do the girl verse on that rap song that we're dancing to, because that's what you fall into. And people think that that's the norm, but that is an example of like predatory behavior, especially when it's a male choreographer. You're gonna put me in that box because that's what you want to see me do. Like, is that what's going on? Because that's kind of effed up, you know what I mean? And even in general, like I think that's a big, you know, barrier for women in general in the dance community. I just think that we need to be more aware of that kind of thing, especially with our young dancers. And this is something that's bugged me a lot from an event planner's perspective. When we do shows at clubs and things like that, typically they need to be 19 plus, like Fever After Dark and things like that are 19 plus, because you can't have minors in venues like that. And you know, people get around that, whatever. But there's a lot of dancers with X's on their hands that are doing X-rated moves that they shouldn't be doing at the age of 18 and under. And I always, again, from my left corner in the Mod Club, I like, you know, I'll like turn and I'll like take a sip of my gin and tonic, and I'll like take a deep breath, and I'll be like, what is going on? Because that in itself is also predatory behavior. And I've had this conversation with people a lot in the dance, the studio world, because, you know, you see like 8-year-olds like twerking, or they're doing like a bank robbery piece to like bitch better have my money, and they're wearing like, they like unzip their orange jumpsuit and they're like, bitch better have my money. And you're like, what? Like, you don't have any money, you're 8, you can't even work legally. Like, no, zip up the jacket, like you're fine. And a lot of people in those positions often say like, well, that's what the industry's like. But here's the facts. If you're 8 years old, the only jobs that you're booking are Disney jobs. And I even know 30-year-olds that are still booking Disney jobs, which means that, you know, the industry isn't necessarily like everything is sexual. Like, you know, raise your hand if you're over the age of 25 and we're working on a Disney job at some point in your life. Like, everyone, I know you're off video and raising your hands. Like, you know, it's not the industry norm. Like, we can't keep normalizing it by saying that, because I think that that's really damaging to young girls. And even in programs that you see in Toronto, and I'm not saying that dancing sexually, if you're over the age of 18, is wrong, because if that empowers you as a woman, go for it. I love to see it. It's great. It's amazing. But we don't really offer those spaces for women to dance how they want to professionally and in general. And the only, you know, place that I ever felt comfortable as a dancer was with Leah Totten in Boss. And, you know, Leah really, really instilled in us, like, you can be who you are. You don't have to just like, you know, you don't have to dance naked if that doesn't make you feel good. And that was something that she really she really freaking instilled that in us, is like, you have to empower yourself the way that you need to. And I'll always like take that with me, because I just think that that's something really important. And every time, you know, and I'm the women in this group that have ever felt uncomfortable about dancing in a piece or doing something that they don't feel comfortable with, I think that's something that we need to normalize a lot more. And there will be other jobs and there will be other showcases that you're able to be a part of. Because yeah, sometimes that's the way the piece is going to go, and that's great. And sometimes it's not that. It's just that kind of predatory behavior. So that's something that's always dug deep into my soul. There's a really great quote, and I'm gonna sort of get back on track just about assault, and I really like, the other thing is, sorry, something I was talking about with Safa that I think is really, really important is to be solutions oriented. And there's a lot of times that, you know, we have these conversations and we say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, but then there's no action. There's no like, okay, like, what do we do now? Like, how are we going to fix this? And there's a really great quote from Desmond Tutu where he said, there comes a point where we need to stop pulling people out of the river. We need to like go up the stream and find out why they're falling in. And I think that that's a really great quote, because, you know, you pull out these survivors from the river and you dry them off and you say, okay, you're safe now, you're good, we got you. And then you turn around and there's another one. And that's where it continues, and we're listening and we're saying, I stand by you and I hear you, but like, are you listening? Because this keeps happening. And all these people that I've seen in the past little while that have posted, like, so shocked to hear about this person, like, I stand with survivors, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I appreciate your support and I hear you, but this has been happening forever. Like, this is a thing that's been going on like forever. And I've only been in Toronto 6 years, but like the stories, the things I have seen, people, like, this is not new. And we're dealing with this every day. We're feeling this every day. And so it's really important that, you know, this isn't just a one-time thing, and we have to stop treating it that way. We need these spaces. We need more female leaders. And even for, you know, these gatekeepers, like I was saying, these studio owners, these event producers, etc., you know, get women to be in these conversations from the jump is like a really, really key thing. So if you're planning to open a studio, if you're bringing someone in from out of province to open a studio in Ontario, make sure that you have women in the conversation from the jump. How are we going to open this? What's the messaging? What's the mission? And instead of doing all the work and then, you know, a month before you open and you've already made all those plans, saying, hey, will you come manage my studio Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Because it's like, I don't even know what it's about. Like, you didn't even include me in the process. You didn't even ask me what I thought. Same with like event work. Like, if you're hosting an event and you make decisions that you're having this choreographer, and it's going to be like this, and this is how it's going to work, and this is the venue. Like, if you don't have my thoughts from the start, then I'm going to be less interested, because you just want me to do the work. You just want me to like run the show for you. Like, I can do that for sure. But say if you want to have your show at club 123 as an example, that's not a real club, but I know that the person that owns that club is sketchy and is a predator and has a history, I'll be able to be like, listen, we're not going to go there because women don't feel safe there. You may not have that knowledge because men don't ask those questions really, maybe, you know, not every man. I'm not making a generalized statement. I just mean that that's a big part of it. Again, the safety thing, right? Like, it's just that sometimes I don't think that men always prioritize safety in the same way that women do. So that would be like a big solution for me personally with this whole situation with assault, is that we just don't have enough women in leadership roles. Like, when I was thinking about this the other day, and I tweeted this because I said we desperately need a female space in Toronto run and managed by women. I was literally sitting about to tweet and I literally could barely think of spaces and events and programs that are centered for women. The only person I could think of really like who was like running a business and is a woman in the dance scene was Giulia, and she's in Montreal. She's not even here. Like, how am I supposed to, where am I supposed to, like, Giulia, move here? Like, I don't know. And there are, you know, that being said, there are a lot of women and some great, you know, people that have been really adamant for women in dance. You know, Amanda Mae Wilson is a really great resource. We've had really great conversations. I consider her a leader. You know, I worked at DaCosta Talent. Melissa and Shannon own and operate the Vancouver DaCosta Talent agency. They are like sent from heaven above. They're amazing women in dance and business and things like that. Obviously, Jade, Amy, Safa, like there's lots of really great, powerful women that are in positions of power and have sense and have, you know, ideas. And we need to just be included more in the conversations from the jump for a lot of these things, because that's where things get messy and that's where problems start. We just need to be more inclusive of women when we're planning these things for dance and in every level, in studios, in events, with other people, in workshops and classes, whatever it is. I just feel like if we had more ladies in town, we would be better off. So that's my TED talk on how to be more inclusive of women in events, I think. So yeah, that's what I have to say, Safa.
Uh, First of all, like, this is why I love you, man. Like, you are like hilariously like so truthful, and everyone needs to hear this. And I feel like everyone just needs to be more open to like talking conversation and just not be afraid to be like willfully ignorant in terms of just like trying to explain like their opinions and such. And this is why like I love you, man. Thank you so much. And I have a few questions for you. First off, shout out to Leah Totten and Giulia Tripoli. Leah Totten and Bosbansko, one of the very first female ran and all female groups in Toronto, and Giulia Tripoli having a female ran studio. Amazing. And again, please move to Toronto, Giulia, please. Okay, so question for you. What can the community do to support more female leaders as men and as women? Specifically, what do individuals need to do to add to the collective effort to make this a reality in our community?
Yeah, like sort of like I was saying, I think having conversations with female leaders. The thing is, and I was even thinking this, you know, as I was kind of like gathering my thoughts today, you know, our female leaders in dance in Toronto are kind of few and far between. There's just not many. They're not as identifiable because, you know, we just don't have that studio to promote, that event to promote, whatever. So it's hard to know who's like leading. But I think the thing about a good leader in general is somebody who has good morals and good ideas and understands people and understands how to move those kinds of ideas forward and execute them properly. There's a lot of women in this community that are excellent leaders and people that I see as leaders that may not necessarily identify themselves that way. I think I saw like Jess Ardeleza's here. Jess is amazing. She's like a really great leader. I saw there's just like so many people in this group that are so great, you know. Like Leah is a great one. Amy, obviously Jade, Giulia, and even dancers like somebody that I think is like really eloquent and has really great ideas and is really smart is Amanda Donato. And she's like super hella eloquent and just like every time I've had conversations with her about this kind of topic, you know, she's been very smart about it. But you don't know that Amanda Donato is smart because she doesn't have a workshop series called Amanda Donato 5678. And so you wouldn't go to her for advice because, well, she's not a leader, she's just a teacher or she's just a dancer. But I think it's identifying those people that you believe in. And that's really how I got started even working with Ella. Like I wasn't like doing anything at the time. And Diamond, you know, Diamond and Ella and I had conversations about what we wanted to see and we just kind of started doing it. And so it wasn't that anybody was pinpointed as like the leader. It was just creating things like you've done with GUESThouse. You know, like Safa is in like med school, like she's like doing her own thing, but she's, you know, carving out time to do things like this. So I think generally speaking, to answer your question, to bring it back, I think what we can do is have conversations with people that you think are like-minded to you, your group of friends, somebody that you took class from that you thought was really smart and had a really good, you know, teaching strategy and that you just enjoy. Like that's a good person to team up with, or to start a workshop, start a Zoom conversation, whatever you want to do. It's not always like pinpointing the people with the most clout. I see that that's a huge problem in Toronto. Malcolm posted about that the other day. We base our leaders off of clout and not off of ability to lead. And that is a huge freaking problem here. And stop looking at the people that have the most followers and have the most dance in the most numbers at freaking Fever After Dark and do all that stuff. That means nothing. It's like, who has good morals? Who cares about people and who cares about moving the needle in this industry and in this community? Because if they're not a good freaking person, they're not going to be a good leader, period. So
period.
Anyway, go on.
I have one more question for you, and we'll see if anybody else in Zoom here has a question for you. But you touched on age range and events and how age is overlooked in peace. By the way, for everyone here, if you know people that are having younger people in their pieces, tell them to stop.
Stop. Tell them to stop. Go on.
No, just purely, and if you're in the piece with the little kid and you see the little kid doing something, stop. Period. That's it. You can speak up for it. If you're scared to getting kicked out of the piece, then that person's not meant for you. God will provide another opportunity for you. Yeah. So you touched on age range and events and how age is overlooked in pieces, along with like what constitutes as a safe space. How does your understanding of a safe space have an effect on the younger generation of dancers and artists, especially the ones that are upcoming?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Like, something I was saying even this morning is I wish that there were people that were looking out for me from the jump. And if we can facilitate these spaces and if we can create, you know, safer workshops, safer events, it's only going to shift when, you know, the next generation gets into these positions of leadership or they start, you know, creating their own workshops, their own businesses. That will become the norm. So that's super, super important for every generation of dancer below us, that we need to be more aware of how our actions affect those kids. Because you're right, like if you have, you know, a 12-year-old in your piece and that is the norm to act a certain way or dance a certain way at 12, then when they get, you know, 20 and they're putting on their first piece or they have their first teaching job or whatever, you know, they're going to think that that's normal as well. And that's where it stems from. So it's important to now have these conversations to be like, okay, we got to like cut that a little bit. And if the show is 19 plus, the audience is 19 plus, then you probably should not have anyone under the age of 19 in your piece. Yeah. Because it's about subject matter too. You know, we've got like these 12-year-olds that are, you know, watching Fever After Dark. It's after dark for a reason. Like you should be in bed. Like there's a reason. Like you shouldn't be listening to this. You know what I mean? So I think that that's really important for our kids, for our youth as they like grow up and go forth. Because, and that's a thing for men too, you know, like normalize that kind of behavior. Like we don't need the 10-year-old to come out on the last chorus, the like remix chorus of the piece, and do like a whoa to finish it. Like it's okay. Like we don't need to do that. You know, there's other times and places for those kinds of pieces as well, and to include younger kids, because I don't think that it's not beneficial to have young kids at these kinds of showcases, because if they do want to pursue a career in dance, you know, it is good to see that kind of professionalism at the right show. If the show is an all ages event, chances are there's, you know, you have to make sure that there's no swearing in your music, and the host is aware of that. And so they're not like, you know, talking about like everyone gets shots like at intermission, you know what I mean? Like it's probably not at a bar if it's like an all ages show, you know what I mean? So those kinds of things then include your students, you know, and there's a lot of people that may be watching this that work professionally and also maybe they teach. And I think that's great. I think it's great to bridge the gap there in terms of education, but know when to bring your students to those kinds of events, know when to introduce them to that kind of content, because she can be a little graphic and not everyone needs that at a young age. So I think it's up to people that are leaders now to protect that generation, and it'll become the norm going forward.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that's so true, especially when you say the whole 19 plus at like mod club and such, and it's like if you think the person who's underage is so good that you have to have them in their piece, don't put them in your piece. I'm sure there are other people just as good and as old or older to have in your piece, and it's not that hard. There are a lot of dancers in Toronto, even outside. Look for it. You have social media in the hands of just do it, you know. I just want to give a quick shout out to Ella and her show and for just being an amazing female representative, female leader in the community. And yeah, I'm gonna open it up to everyone here. If anybody has a question, hopefully it doesn't get bombarded or anything. Just like, you know, open your mic or whatever and ask a question to Ali if you had a question or a question of anything that she spoke about. Anybody have a question? I think you silenced them all.
Yeah, something I just want to say, obviously, before we move on to the next person too, and you know, Safa just did it. Like another thing too, and I've listened to, you know, people speak, you know, certain people, leaders in the community. Like the other reason why we don't know about some female leaders in the community is because women have a lot of humility and they don't always want to like post what they're doing or talk about their accomplishments and things like that. That's like a big thing for myself, and I know a lot of peers that I've had this conversation with. Like if somebody, you know, if you've worked on a show or if you've done a piece or if you booked a job or if you worked on a job with someone, make sure that you shout them out, like give respect to that person, because that is how people understand like who to go to, and that like builds people's networks and stuff like that. There's a lot of times I've seen people post things about booking a certain job or working on a certain event and claiming it as their own or not giving credit where credit's due. And I think it's really, really important to, you know, lift people up, and especially female leaders, because we just don't have that many of them. I mean, there's lots, like I said, lots of women are amazing leaders. They're not put in that position, so people don't know about it. Like make sure you're shouting at your friends when you need to and when they need it, because that's how we elevate other people and are able to have more female representation in the scene, because you may not know that somebody has leadership skills or is in that position. So I just wanted to say I think that's really important as well.
Oh, for sure, and it's good to surround yourself around those that support more female initiatives and female leaders. Like GUESThouse, to be honest, is mostly like all guys or like my close friends, but they're so supportive of me, which inspires me to like post more and everything. So your group definitely inspires you, and if you think leaving your group for them being idiots, then you know just leave their group and such. Sorry, I know like we're supposed to be at the time to move on, but like one more question. Then you touched on this real quick, but how does one promote female leadership within the community? Is it like creating more leadership positions for women, or stepping down for positions from men to give to women, or like what do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both, truly. Like I think creating more opportunities. There are many, many opportunities for women in leadership positions. Like I said, include them from the start. If you have an event that you're working on with your friend, or if you as a man have an idea for an event, think like what could I do? Like maybe I need a female perspective here. Like this is an important thing. Like, and even if it's, you know, there's a lot of people in your circle maybe that have ideas. So if you have an idea for an event, just like call up one of your girlfriends and be like, hey, I'm thinking of having this event. Like, what is the safest place? What is a good venue that I can go to that everybody's going to feel safe and everybody's going to feel good? Like, I just need a female perspective here. Like, that's really, really important. yeah, I think creating job opportunities is really great, giving women the chance to speak on things, and speak in general. Like there's a lot of times that we don't let women feel their like full power in a lot of situations, again with events and stuff like that. If you did have an event that you're running and you ask for a woman to consult you on a couple of different things, at the end of the night, like she better be in your thanks to all of our sponsors and thanks to Safa for like helping me out with this venue. Like that was really great of you, because again, it's about awareness, like I'm saying, because like I'm saying, when I go on my Twitter rants about how there's a lack of female representation in dance, I'm often like, well, who is there? You know, there's lots, like when I actually sit down and think about it, there's lots of leaders, but it's about awareness. So I think a good step, obviously, creating opportunities, make sure that you're offering jobs to women. That's really, really important. But also giving them a voice, shouting them out when they're doing something that's good or that's cool, because that's how, you know, Giulia may be like, oh, I'm actually looking for somebody to teach juggling at my summer camp. And Ali went to circus school and she can juggle. Like, I didn't know that. Like, that's a really important thing too, just to like, to know. So if your friends are doing things that are cool, like shout them out, especially women. Like we need more of that support, because you never know when there could be a position available or a job opportunity. So
yeah, amazing. Well, then, thank you so much, Ali, for joining us and expressing your opinions. Absolutely in love with your opinions always. Quick thing before you leave, could you drop your socials? Bare people are asking you for your Twitter handle. So I don't know if you want to share that, but share your socials with us.
yeah, my Instagram is Daly Ali. That's DALYALI. And my Twitter is Ali Marie, MARIE, Daly, DALY. That's where you follow me on Twitter. My profile picture is not of my face. It's of Allison Stoner and Cheaper by the Dozen going like this. So that's how you know it's me.
So,
Just in case.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for literally your voice and your opinion. I really appreciate that. I saw that Amy was asking if we could send that to the fever part bit that you and I were talking about, and Roy said he'll send it. I'll definitely send that bit to you, Roy, for a dance plug, and if you can send that to him, that will be amazing. In terms of studio spaces for women, I know there is talk right now of all female studios being open soon, or like our people are looking for it. So hopefully we'll see news for that. But yeah, all right, cool. So for our next speaker is Jade Whitney. If you don't know who Jade Whitney is, then you have a problem. Um, but Jade Whitney is an unbelievable Toronto-born artist and has been dancing both professionally and competitively from a young age. She received training at Vlad's Dance Company in a variety of styles, such as jazz, ballet, hip-hop, acro, all of that. She has worked with choreographers such as Christopher Scott, Will Loftus, Luther Brown, Amy Wright, and many more. She is a graduate of the Cardinal Carter Academy of Arts, where she majored in dance and vocal music. So, you know, she is qualified and educated. In 2013, Jade co-directed and choreographed a contemporary dance show entitled Fill Up and Get Out with Emma Portner. I feel like I'm pronouncing that last name wrong, but that is okay. Jade has been on many film, television, and shows. Some include Disney Zombies. Shout out to all the Toronto talent in that. Both 1 and 2, Suicide Squad, and Aaliyah, Princess of R&B, just to name a few. Jade has also danced for insane artists such as Nick Jonas, FKA Twigs, which is one of my favorite artists, and various other artists. Jade has also danced in Toronto-based companies such as Transcend Dance, Bridge 2 Artists, and the Girls Club. So without further ado, let's speak to Jade Whitney.
Hi, how's it going? Okay, let me just find myself. Okay, so hi, I'm Jade. Nice to not see everybody, but know that you are there with me. So my segment, I guess, is going to be very different than Ali's, in the sense that I think that what I have to offer and to share is coming from my own personal experiences. So I do want to share my experience um, and what I've learned from it, and um, hopefully to find some solutions in that. So although I have had some experiences of sexual harassment from men as an adult, my main sexual trauma that I've been healing from happened to me as a child. When I was 12 years old. Okay.
It's okay, girl.
Like,
I love you and I appreciate you. Take your time.
Yeah.
We're here for you. We're sending you positive energies. It's a safe space.
Thank you.
Take the time that you need, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, when I was 12, I went to a studio. Actually, I started at the studio when I was 11, but it was a studio in the beaches. At the time, it was called Vince Pearl's Dance Center. I went there in grade 6. And this is where I met my dance teacher, who also became my abuser. The first 2 years that I trained there, there was no abuse, but I was definitely kind of favorited in the group, and I had so much, like, I looked up to her a lot, and I had a lot of love for her, and she was a woman as well. When things first started to get weird, the first thing that I remember was that she told me that she had a dream where she was kissing me, and I remember thinking that that was strange, but because of how much I idolized her, I just kind of brushed it aside. I was like so grateful to spend time with her. I would, like, any sort of attention I got from her, I like took it. So anything like that looking back now I felt was inappropriate, I wasn't able to see it at the time. So the actual, like, abuse began when she had invited me to stay over at her house one night when her boyfriend was not home, and I mean, I was really excited to spend time with her, so I said yes. Went to her place. It was when we were going to sleep. I was in her bed, the lights were off, and she kissed me on the lips, and I froze because I didn't know how to react. I remember leading up to that point that I did have a feeling that she was in a way coming on to me, but I was just young and confused. So the next morning after that happened, she had like a meltdown and was just basically crying, hyperventilating because I hadn't kissed her back. And I was 12 at this time. So I was like trying to comfort her, and I think that that's a moment that I really remember because I felt that she really manipulated me to feel bad for not doing what she had wanted me to do, as opposed to forcing me in a very like forward way. It was definitely more of a psychologically manipulative route that she took. And after that incident, we basically went on to have this relationship for the next 8 months that involved sexual abuse on a daily basis, pretty much. She would pick me up in the morning, drive me to school. She would pick me up from school, take me to her house. Um, yeah, it was the same way that you would have a relationship now as an adult, except for the fact that I was 12 and she was 27 at the time. um, Nobody knew about it because I knew that it had to be a secret, and I definitely had a lot of shame about it at the time as well. And I remember thinking that I would never tell anyone for the rest of my life. I remember her saying to me that one day when I'm older, I might tell someone? And I remember saying like, no, definitely not. And that just kind of shows me how much shame that I had surrounding it as well, especially because of the same sex relationship. I think that was also a big part of I think it was a big reason why she actually was able to get away with it as well. And that's why I know my story is a little bit different, because my abuser was a woman. And I think that if it was a man, it may have played out differently. But basically what ended up happening was, after a few months of us having this sexual relationship, we were, this was in January 2008, so I was now 13, and we were in a parking lot outside of Shoppers Drug Mart. We were parked like very far away from the building, and we were in the back seat, like hooking up basically, and she was on top of me, and a police car pulled up beside her car, and she got out, and I stayed in the car, and then like the police officer looked at me and saw how young I was, and I didn't hear the conversation like between them, but when she opened the car again, she said to me, "Jade, we're in a lot of trouble." And then the policeman pulled me out and started asking me a bunch of questions, and I just started lying because I didn't know what to do, and I wanted to protect her, and I loved her, obviously. So to me, I was like, I'm not getting her in trouble. So I just was like, yeah, we were at the studio, and she was she was comforting me. I just like made up this whole story, and he brought me home. Spoke to my parents. I lied to my parents. I told them that it was a big misunderstanding, and that we were just in the back seat hugging, and that the policeman like got it wrong basically. But I still had to go. I remember actually specifically saying to my parents, like, I was like, what could two girls even do? Like, and I like, and I think that was part of why my parents did believe me, and they did know my teacher too, was because of the fact that she was a woman. And I did end up having to go to the police and have an interview with them. And I continued to lie, and I actually had to review this footage before I went to trial. So I watched it like maybe a year ago-ish. And the officers, I could tell, knew that I was lying, but because I wasn't giving them anything, they weren't able to do anything, because the police officer like said that he saw through the window, but they were questioning if what he saw was enough to make a conviction without me saying what happened. So eventually she was let off, and then we continued our relationship, and we continued to have this sexual relationship even afterwards. One time her boyfriend came home, and I was there, and I had a bra on, and this was after she had already had to go to the police like for all of that. So he was like very suspicious afterwards. But eventually, like, our relationship just ended almost in the same way that, like, I could imagine a relationship ending now. Like, I just didn't want to do it anymore, and so it ended. And I guess because of the fact that she never really, like, I didn't feel that she forced me to be in this relationship with her. I felt that I had a lot of choice, which obviously now I understand that I didn't, because I was so young. But because of that, I, for a long time, felt that it was a two-way street, and that I was choosing to be in that relationship. So after that, I ended up switching dance studios. She left the studio too, and that was kind of like what I thought was the end of that. And I didn't talk about it throughout all of high school. The first, like, I guess, signs that I experienced, or I don't know what to call it, but I started to have eating disorders in high school, and I did go to therapy quite a bit for it, but I would never talk about the sexual abuse, and I wasn't even ready to, like, I just couldn't look at it at all. I was like very, very ashamed and afraid that people would think I was weird, people wouldn't understand, that I felt like no one I know has ever been through this except me. So I can't like ever talk about it basically. But it wasn't until I was out of high school, I was 18, I saw a movie called The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and in the movie, at the end, well, I don't know if I should ruin the ending, but it does have to do with sexual abuse. It's in there in the movie, and when I watched the movie, I was 18, and that was the first time that I just realized, I was like, wow, like that's what happened to me. And I mean, art, movies, film, whatever, music, it's like I don't know if I would have had that realization without that film. So that's why I think, I mean, separate topic, but I think that all of this being presented in art is so important, because that was what helped me to speak up. And so the night that I saw the movie, I happened to be with my friend that I used to dance with back then, that also had Cheryl as her teacher as well. And so I started to open up to her about it. And although my friend didn't have any of her own experiences that were like of sexual abuse, she had some strange experiences with her as well. And so we were able to kind of talk about that. And then same night, as the night went on, I had another friend text me, and she just said, tell me a story. And I was like, fuck it, I'm telling you the whole thing. I just wrote it all out over text. It was like the first night I'd ever told anyone. And she responded to me saying, wow, I had the exact same thing happen to me with my female dance teacher. Different studio, different city, she was the same age that I was, and her teacher was the same age as my teacher was. And I was like, what the fuck? But I mean, that moment was like magical, and it showed me that I'm obviously not alone. And it was just scary how similar our experiences were, being the fact that it was both with a female abuser as well. So that was kind of the beginning of me starting to open up about what had happened. But you know, it was up and down. Like I kind of would look at it, and then it would shove it back down, and kind of look at it, shove it back down. And then it was maybe 3 years later, along the road, this was gradually like increasing, but my mental health was like just kind of going out the window. And I was struggling a lot with just depression, anxiety. I was feeling very, very suicidal. And yeah, I kind of hit a point when I was 20 that I remember like the thing that triggered it was so minor. Like I think I like found out I didn't book like a dance job or something. And it just like kind of triggered this whole, I guess it was like some sort of nervous breakdown or whatever you want to call it. But that was when I realized, I was like, oh my God, like if I'm gonna stay here on Earth, I have to figure out how to heal, because like I can't like keep going the way that I've been going. And I knew that the sexual abuse was like a huge piece that I hadn't fully dealt with. And so that was kind of when I was like, okay, like I have no choice. Like it's at this point it's life or death, and I choose life. So that was when I decided to go back to the police, and I told them the truth. And like I told them I wanted to, you know, take it to trial, and they tried to warn me. They were like, you know, it's going to be a very difficult process to go through the trial and everything. And I didn't really understand at the time what that process was going to be like. I felt that I had a police officer witness. I had like her ex-boyfriend was going to speak as well. And I thought I had a pretty strong case. But the whole legal process took like a couple years, and it was dragged on like for a while. But it started with the prelim, which was basically just when you're offering the information to see if there's enough to go to a trial. And that was the first time that I had seen my abuser like in person, was at the prelim. And honestly, that prelim was so great because I got to speak. She got to hear me. I was like, I just felt really good about that. But it was when we went to the trial that it really changed. The whole experience really changed, and it was one of probably the hardest thing that I ever went through was the trial process, just because the way that they speak to you when you're on the stand, like the way that her lawyer was speaking to me, I just couldn't believe, like, I was like, oh wow, they can talk to you like that. Like, I was like, oh, just basically saying to you, like, you're a liar. Like, you lied about this and you lied about that. And this is actually what happened. And they're giving me lies of what they're deciding happened. And like the lawyer's telling me, like, he's like, you got your period on this day and this is what happened. And I'm like, the fuck? You don't know when I got my period. Like, the things that they brought up, I was like, wow, like, you guys are really going for it, you know? Like, I remember they brought up that, because I guess my ex-boyfriend from back then had tweeted on Bell Let's Talk Day. Everyone tweets on Bell Let's Talk. And the lawyer in court said to me, you made up this whole story because your ex-boyfriend was really into mental health and you wanted him to stay with you, and because he was tweeting on Bell Let's Talk. And I was like, and you're like on the stand, so you're like, oh my god, I can't, like, I was just like, absolutely not. But in my head I was like, what the fuck? So that experience, I just remember thinking, wow, I wish I didn't go to the authorities. Like, I wish I didn't do this. And that's how I felt throughout the entire trial process. I don't feel that way anymore because now I can look back and say, like, I learned from it, I grew from it. I'm still glad I took the chance because she could have been convicted, although she wasn't, unfortunately. I'm still glad that I tried, although it was very, very frustrating and heartbreaking that she wasn't convicted after I felt like I went through this like grueling process, and I just felt like it was so unfair. And I think for a long time after that, this was about a year and a half ago, and for a long time after that, I was just so angry at the world. I was just like, how, like, I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I like came forward, spoke my truth, and like still it wasn't enough. And I had like a police officer on my side, but you know, I was a bit naive, and there were things that I could have done to better prepare for the trial that I felt that I didn't, just because of how tough it was to look at all of it. But I think one part actually that was very healing was when I got to watch the video of me when I was 13 lying to protect her. It helped me to forgive myself as a kid for not telling the truth back then, and to see how young I actually was, and to see how manipulated I was. It helped me to be like, okay, you know, that kid did her best, and like I have to forgive you for not telling the truth back then, because that did come back at me in court, the fact that I had lied as a child. So yeah, and then I guess after the whole court thing finished, I was just like I'm ready to kind of open up online and just share my story a bit more, so that hopefully to spread awareness. Hopefully once more awareness is spread, then we can we can hopefully prevent it from happening to other kids. Because since I have opened up about my experience, I've had so many people come to me saying that they had a very similar experience as a kid and have never told anybody. And I just think it happens a lot more than we think. And like, I had friends that I thought I'd known for years, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't know that happened to you. You know, it's just that, like, it is a hard thing to look at. And but I think for me, when it comes to prevention, I just say, like, if you have any sort of intuition that maybe there's a kid at the studio or just a family member or anything, like, I just think, like, people need to try to see these signs in the kids, like the withdrawing, the spending a lot of time with that one adult, and not to take gender out of it, because I do believe that if it happened to me with a man, I don't know if he would have gotten away with it back then. But because it was a woman, she seemed to be less dangerous. And I think that is a problem, because I know that it's happened with a lot of women as well. So I think we need to remember that, like, an abuser can be a woman too, unfortunately. You know, I love women. I want women to be uplifted, but I do wish that people had seen, I do wish that the people around could have seen what I was going through at the time. I don't know if anything back then could have made me tell the truth, because I was so manipulated and so groomed and so in love with her. I just don't know. And I think it should, I just feel that it should be up to the people around, the adults around, to see the signs and to protect the kids. Because as a child, you just don't know better. But at the same time, I think maybe education could have helped. Like, if I even knew about what that was back then. People don't talk about sex to kids, you know. It's a very taboo subject, and I just didn't know anything about that. I would have never seen anything online about that either at the time. And I had no idea how it was going to affect me or traumatize me. I knew it was weird, but I didn't know that it was, like, hurting me at all. So that could be something. And then, yeah, and I mean, for me, I just, when it comes to kids, it makes me really upset, because kids are so, they're so vulnerable and easily manipulated. And that's why I think, like, if you're gonna own a studio, if you're gonna work at a studio, like, I mean, obviously the number one thing is don't take advantage of your power. But the second thing is just, like, I think everyone in the presence of kids needs to be more aware, and to just be aware that it happens like often, you know. So yeah. And then when it comes to, like, even intersectionality, like, I mean, I've had experiences, like, I've had experiences as a child too, with other dance teachers saying to me, like, oh, you know, I've always had a thing for Asians and things like that. And just a lot of inappropriate talk. And now it's, like, not until being an adult that you're looking back and you're like, wait, I was, like, 14 when that was said to me. And, like, that's not okay, you know. And yeah, just to make sure that the studios, especially with kids, are a safe space, and that if we do hear anything like that, we need to do something. We need to say something. I was working on a job last year with a choreographer that, while I was on the job, I was told stories of him abusing young kids. And it was really difficult to continue that job just because I was like, well, now I don't respect you and I still have to work for you. And yeah, it's definitely like, I'm at a point now where like I will not work for that person, you know, but at the time it's just so hard because you're thinking about so many things. But I hope at least now, after everything that's been going on, we can all start to really take a stand against those people and not work for like people that we know are abusers, you know. And I just hope that those victims can find the courage to speak up. I know it's difficult as a kid because you just don't understand. And I get it. Maybe a lot of those kids won't come forward until they're like 25, but I think that the more we talk about it, maybe the sooner that they will be able to come forward. Because I think for me, seeing that movie, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, what it showed me was that I wasn't alone. And I think that that is what helped me to come forward, was to know that I wasn't the only one. And if there was a movie about it, then there must be lots of other people that it has happened to. And that means that I'm not, and yeah, I'm not alone. So that's my TED Talk.
Oh no, oh my god. Like, first off, I just want to say, like, even though like we've never like I've obviously seen you in the community like, and I've never like really all like first contact to meet you. I just want to say, like, I love you and your soul so much.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I love you too.
Not muted their mic despite me saying it so many times. Just mute your mic, guys. Thanks. But other than that, though, like, I appreciate you and thank you so much for sharing your story with us and just being so vulnerable. It takes a lot for that to do it, to just be mentally able to just project that onto like strangers as well. But I respect you so much and I appreciate you. I just want to let you know that this is being recorded and will be posted on YouTube. Do you get permission for us to post like your story as well?
Yeah.
Okay, great, amazing. Okay, so I have some questions for you, if you don't mind. You can choose to answer them or not, obviously, and I believe there are some people here that also have questions for you as well. Oh, sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope everyone else can hear me. Okay, great. I don't know what's wrong. Okay, good. Anyways, how speaking on your stories and such, like as a survivor, can you share some advice to inspire other survivors to speak up or find the confidence to stand against the violence on both men and women?
I would just say that if someone's abuser is still in power and is still working, I mean, with children or with adults, that it's very possible that it will happen to other people. And your voice, you speaking up, is hopefully going to prevent it from happening to others. And I think that that's a really important thing to do, to help others not go through what you went through.
Sorry, every time like I mute, I have to figure out a way to kind of unmute it. Yeah. So I have another question for you. How can one challenge their sense of helplessness and or isolation as you have felt to positively influence themselves through these troubling times?
Do you mean like specifically like during, like, do you mean like during the quarantine, like that kind of isolation, or?
No. Like, for instance, let's say, and God forbid this happens to anyone, like an action happens against somebody, and like you feel the isolation, and you're alone. Like, how do you challenge that to positively influence?
Well, yeah, I think that no one's ever alone. I think everything that we've been through, like other people have been through, you know, like that's what I'm learning. So I think that's harder to understand when you're younger, but yeah, no one's alone. No one's alone. You're not alone. But you won't know that until you start to speak. There's been so many times where I've said my experience, and then someone else is like, "Oh wow, like I've never told anyone this, but this is what I went through," you know. And just like me coming forward, I feel like, or anyone coming forward, it gives other people permission to also.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, amazing. And then I have one more question before I open up the floor. Now knowing more than you knew before in terms of law and such, what are some things that you know now that you wish you knew before?
So many things. So many things. Like I was not prepared for the trial. And yeah, like I said before, a lot of it was because I didn't want to look at it until I absolutely had to. But I realized after just like even just reviewing my statements more would have been helpful, just because when you're on the stand, you're so nervous. Your abuser's right there. Their family is giving you death stares, you know, and like there's so much happening that they ask you a question, you're just like, oh my God, I can't think. What did I say last time? Like what, like, you know, and the memory of it all is very difficult because, like, I mean, for me at least, it happened like 10 years before I went to trial, you know, and there were certain things where I was like, why can't I remember that? What did I say last time? Like, you know, there's a, like, your memory needs, you need to know the statement like very, very well, which I thought I would have because it's my story, you know, but once you get up there, things change. And also another thing, a big thing actually, was that I I added something on this, like I shared a memory on the stand that I hadn't shared in my original statement, and I didn't realize that I didn't do that, and that actually worked against me as well. So yeah, basically it's just like the statement that you give to the police at the beginning is the statement that you're going to give at the end in court, you know, and like you're going to remember things, forget things in between, but that statement needs to be consistent from the beginning to the end, which honestly seems like common sense, but yeah. Yeah, honestly, like, you know. Yeah.
Oh my God, I have two more questions, but obviously I'm going to open up to the floor. So does anyone here have a few questions to ask Jade? If you should ask, open up your mics and ask away.
Hi, Jade. I have a question.
Hello.
Hi. Oh goodness, I should probably make sure that I can be seen. Hi. Oh, nope, that didn't help. I'm in complete darkness, but I'm here. My name's Johanse, and thank you, firstly, so much for sharing. I can't imagine what it was like going through that and having to tell all of us it. You're extremely strong for saying that. And something I wanted to ask was, being a dancer, you'll find yourself in, precarious situations. What are things that people, friends who want to support, can look out for? And this can even speak to, parents who have kids in studios. What are things that you think that we should definitely look out for to make sure that nobody else has to go through a situation similar to this?
Well, I think specifically for kids, a lot of time spent with one adult, um, like, you know, it might not be abuse, but I think that that is something, like when a kid is with that one person a lot and they're alone together a lot, even if it's a trusted like family friend, or like it's just like the sleepovers or all of that stuff, like there has to be some, you have to look at it. Like, I'm not saying that that means there's abuse going on, but it's better to look and try and see what's happening rather than to just say, oh, it's okay, it's probably fine, you know. And then also, like, the child's behavior is going to change. Like, I became very withdrawn, I was always on my phone. I started doing really badly in school. You know, there's things like that where some parents might say maybe that's like puberty, like maybe this thing, but you have to look at all the options because it could be abuse, and you might not know it, you know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, honestly, better be safe than sorry. Like, that's what I think, at least.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for answering that. Does anybody else have a question that they would like to ask Jade?
Hi, Jade. I actually have two questions for you. But just reiterating again, thank you so much for coming forward and sharing your story with us. You know, as a previous speaker did mention, that does take a lot of, you know, strength and courage. So, you know, thank you again for that. So my questions are more so based on your experience. So first, I guess, it's just more so in terms of the, you know, the standard that we're now building or want to instill within these studios. Would you say that the expectation for studios should actually be focusing on enhancing studio cultures and values, and as opposed to not just the like the technical development of it? So it should be training not just, you know, for their staff, but it should also be embedded in their training for their students.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, as a kid, you spend so much time at the studio, and most of the things I remember not dance related from growing up at the studio. And I mean, obviously, you learn a lot of dance, but you learn a lot of other stuff as well. And I think that, yeah, we all need to, everyone that's working at a studio, everyone that's involved in a studio needs to make sure that it's a safe space for everybody. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
It does. And then I did have a second question, and it's just more so speaking to the experience you had pre and during and post trial. So I was actually wondering, during that time, I know given it was a different time period, were you actually ever provided or referred to any additional support groups or associations? Just, you know, again, I know it was a different time, and not a lot may have been available at that point, or actually, you know, shared with you, but I feel like this is something that a lot of survivors are curious and may not know would actually be available to them when they are
Yeah,
proceeding to go with trials.
totally. Yeah, I mean, what I was provided, I didn't necessarily like as far as therapy and all of that kind of like healing stuff. I resonate more with like a spiritual healing, like alternative methods. I never really connected much with the psychologists and psychiatrists that I went to personally. So I didn't really use the resources that they offered me, um, but the therapy that I've done is like the reason why I'm here, and the meditation and all of that stuff. I have actually one group that I did go to, is it's called GUESThouse, and it's in Toronto, and it's actually a house where they have circles for survivors of child sexual abuse. And yeah, you just go and you just talk, and it's kind of scary, but it's nice to meet like other survivors who've been through similar stuff, and you kind of like can heal together. Yeah, but for me, I'm like all about like the alternative healing methods. Those have really helped me a lot. I've worked with like plant medicines and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's all part of the healing.
Yes, everyone has their own way of healing. Thank you for answering my questions.
Oh, of course.
All right, so we're definitely gonna close this out. So again, I just say thank you so much for being so resilient and sharing your story with us, and for being so upfront with your opinions and everything. This is why we wanted you here, and I thank you so much for giving Guest House the opportunity to host you. We appreciate you and we love you. And if there's anything that Guest House can do for you personally, please let us know. We have a lot of resources to help you if you want, or anything that we can do to provide our services to you, please let us know.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me and for putting this space together. I'm so grateful to be part of this conversation and to be hearing everyone else's talks. So
Oh my
thank
God,
you.
no, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my God. Okay, so we're going to move on, but I just wanted to do a quick shout out to basically, so I'm just like a little troubled, and I feel like I can say this because I'm not planning to have a career in dance. I have another career. I'm in med school. Hopefully I become a doctor, hopefully. But I just have an issue where a lot of people are performative and in the community, and I'm recognizing that now. A lot of people have shared our story and such like that. I'm not saying they're forced to come. People are busy and such. I understand that. But when you're here trying to say you support women and men and people who have been abused or assaulted or have been in uncomfortable situations, but you don't show up to the conversations that are supposed to that are happening, and but yet you still want to be like the change that the community wants to see, then it's like, where's your effort? Like, you know, I understand like you might have time and are busy, just, you know, give up that time to kind of support the community so they can also support you. And I feel like the people that should be listening to this conversation are not here. Some of the people that have done some of the things in the community are not here, and they should have been here. So I just wanted to say shout out to everyone that's here, and thanks to everyone else for being super performative, or those that I know, you know, could be here instead, but it's like super performative. So round of applause for everyone. Okay, so moving on, more positive vibes. Thank you so much, Jade, again. So we're gonna go on to our third speaker, Miss Amy Sylla. Support. I love that. Oh. Amy, no, I love that. I love that. I love that. Amy is a bilingual French and English digital marketing specialist who is committed to engaging multicultural audiences with meaningful content and conversation. Amy also worked at Millennium Dance Complex here in Toronto as a marketing operations manager. So we got 2 members of that faculty. And please, you know, whoever was the runner of that, tell them to come back. I know it was a female-led studio, and please bring them back. You know, we need that. Amy is the founder of and host of the incredible podcast and show Brown Sugar Talk. She's hosted amazing talks on that recently. There's an Instagram, which I will post later on for that. She has spent the last 7 years helping companies across the globe define their voice and better understand their customers' needs and expectations through data analysis and the development of creative marketing campaigns. Word, look at that. Outside of the office, Amy is involved in several community-focused initiatives centered around dance, children, and education. As a dancer in the Toronto dance scene, she breaks stigmas and fights any forms of discrimination. As a founder and host of Brown Sugar Talk, conversation, which covers conversations covering race and cross-cultural topics, she has developed a unique perspective when it comes to amplifying marginalized voices and creating education for her audience. Committed and positive, she aspires to empower people to make a difference in their communities, and she's definitely empowering me and definitely GUESThouse, which is why we love to have her here, and so thankful that she is here. So without further ado, introducing Amy Sylla.
Hi, thank you so much for the introduction. I appreciate it. I apologize for the lighting. The sun has been playing with me this past hour 30. I don't know if you saw what is going on. I'm always like this.
You're really glowing. You're glowing right now. Like, give me the glow.
Thank you so much. So, thank you, Elvina, for sharing the link. I truly appreciate it. Hi, everyone. For the one who do not know me, I'm Amy. Why I do not have everyone? Giulia, stay here. I don't want to see only my face here. I'm from France, and as you can hear, I have a thick accent for the one who are not used to my accent. Bear with me, be with me. I feel that my experience is a little bit different, so I will talk about different thoughts that I had, and I don't think it will be as long as Ali or Jade, because Ali was like literally in that industry for like several years. Jade obviously was a victim. My story is different. I had a chance to not be a victim, but I feel that like I'm kind of like one of the part of the older people in the dance community, and I'm someone who observe a lot, who see things, and I'm loud. I think it's a French thing. We are not afraid to keep it real. So when I'm going to talk right now, please don't feel offended. As I told you, English is not my first language. So the thing is that I do not have any filter. I don't know how to use the form to make it look cute. I'm just gonna say things how it is, share my truth, and either you're gonna like it or not, but I swear it's just all love, right? So first thing that I would like to talk about is that constant need of validation in the dance industry. I feel that because of that need of validation, this is why some of these sexual assaults happened. Jade just explained it when she was younger, right? She loved that her teacher so much, and she wanted to be loved in return, and obviously she wanted to succeed in the dance industry. And when you're young like this, you don't have the maturity, and you don't have the resources to know what is wrong. And one thing that I said in the chat, and she kind of said it afterward, it should be mandatory to have a specialist coming to this comp studio and have a conversation first with the kids to talk about all the kind of sexual assault, microaggression, so that the kids can be aware that this is happening. This should not be a taboo topic. It should be mandatory, and to have this maybe 1 time or 3 times per year. And then a separate conversation needs to happen with the parents. Because what is happening with the parents, and I've seen that at the Millennium Dance Complex, parents are like fangirling. They're idolizing the teacher. They're like, this teacher is amazing. He works with this, with that. My kids, I want my kids to train with him. I want my kids to train with her. My kids to do this, my kids to do that. They will go above and beyond. And guess what? When your kids is listening to you talking like this about this teacher, they're not going to feel comfortable telling you that something happened. They're not going to feel comfortable because they're going to think that you're not going to believe them, or you're going to feel upset, and you're going to, yes, upset them of like, by telling them that actually that person is not that great, that person is doing like bad things, and this need to stop. I know that like when, oh, thank you. When something happened with a former studio recently, I went into an heated conversation with a mom because she was like, my little girl loved this studio. I hope that she will be able to go back training to that studio. How can you say that as a mom? I genuinely don't understand. I don't understand. As a mom, you should want to protect your kids and be part of the solution and be like, this is it. My kid is not going in there anymore. And instead of talking in social media, talking about my kids training, let me cut that Instagram right now and go have this conversation with my kid and ask if something happened and if she feels safe, you know? So this is something that bothers me. Parents sometimes are driving me nuts, and I really think that studios should have conversation with the parent as well. And then a third conversation to have everyone together to make sure that there is this transparency and that everyone is on the same page and people are respected. This is for the kids. And I'm not gonna say more about it because I started dancing so late. I started dancing at 23 years old. So obviously I don't know how the comp works, and things are different for me. Now let's talk about the adult dancers. I will talk about this experience since I started really late. I feel that for a lot of dancers, as I was saying, they want this validation, and because of that, sometimes they don't know what they can do to be seen and to get noticed. I'm part of them. I started dancing so late, and obviously at some point I was like, maybe I want to become professional. Maybe I want these opportunities because I love it, but right now I'm not there yet. I just moved to Toronto. I don't have a lot of connection. I want people to give me my chance because I know that I'm a hard worker. So what should I do? I'm going to ask to assist. I'm going to ask to stay in pre-sol. I'm going to ask to do some private, you know, like I feel that I was mature enough to ask the right things to do. But some people, unfortunately, they are so desperate that they will be willing to do anything to get a job, to get booked. And this is when the problem is, because first of all, now that I'm thinking about it, in none of the dance studio I know, there is a section in the website about sexual assault. Have you seen any? If you have seen any, if you know a website with a section about sexual assault and things to do, where to go talk about this conversation, what are the type of microaggression, let me know, share it in the chat, and good for them, but then the other website should follow their lead, right? Then another thing, there is no training about the staff. I'm not sure actually if when you hiring someone to come work for you, are you looking at the police check? Are you making sure that you're making all your researches to make sure that the person is clean? Because when we were hiring at the Millennium, I don't think we did that work. It was just from word of mouth and I guess how many followers the person have, because it works like that in the dance industry, right? You can be amazing, but if you have 2,000 followers, you are BS, right? And then I think that it's just in terms of what was my initial idea? Yes, just training the staff as well. I think it's really important to train the staff and make sure that you're building that safe space with your staff and they're transparent and they feel comfortable enough to have this conversation with you. From my hand, I tried when I was in that position. I really tried to do my best. I'm the kind of person who's like really nice, but I'm also known for being like this and for being like a mom and for being that annoying person that will call you out whenever I want. But I also have this maternal side of myself where like I'm here for conversation. I hear if you need to talk to me about anything, and I can keep a secret. I can, you know, make sure that everyone feels safe and okay in that environment. And I felt that we did a pretty good job at that time when that studio was open. But what scared me actually is for my people, for Black women, you know, because unfortunately in the dance industry, Black women are not being booked. They are the less popular, the less seen. And I feel that some Black women, they want that opportunity so much that they will go above and beyond, and sometimes they will cross that limit because they think that it will give them that job, that opportunity. And at the end, it's not. And I feel that a lot of choreographers actually are playing with it because they can see how disparate as Black dancers we are, and they're gonna play with it. They're gonna be like, oh, flirty and keep training with me, and let's do leg rehearsal, and let's come to my place and flirt and this and that. And at the end, you're still waiting, and they were like, oh, but you're not ready yet. Let's keep training with me and this. I don't even know if I heard the number of times who told me you're not ready yet. I will be billionaire right now. I will be a billionaire. But guess what? Don't focus on these people. Just if that person does not see the potential in you and do not want to give you that opportunity, just go work for someone else, or go look for someone else, or train on your own, you know, because this should not be happening. It's something that is happening also in the dance community, but this is part of another conversation. But I'm just going to sneak it here because this is bothering me. When they're saying that they're going to give the chance to Black female dancer, they give the chance actually to mixed girl, so half Black or light skin. And for them, this is giving the chance to Black people. But where are the dark-skinned women? Oh, you're going to select just one, and you're going to put her all in the back, all in the back. And if it's a concept video or something, we're going to see her for 5 seconds, you know? But then that's it. Where they're at. So many times we finally gave me my chance, and I got so excited, and then I'm all the way to the back. And I see all the mixed girls who most of them sometimes they don't really care about race, and they can relate more to their white part, to their Black part, and it's okay. It's okay. Everything it depends on like your way of being raised and your culture and your tradition in your family. I do not blame them for that, but they are gonna be put in front, and for you, you feel that you've done your part, whereas you haven't, you know. And this is one again. If you have someone who's not strong mentally, will go above and beyond to try to get that part at the front center, right? And for me, this needs to stop. This needs to stop because this is actually not okay, and people should stop take an advantage of this situation, and people who are witnessing that should actually speak up. Because what pissed me off as well in the dance industry is people coming to me and being like, oh yeah, you were so right. I saw what that person did to you. That is actually not okay. Like, I agree. And plus, she did this and that. Oh my God, that would have made me so upset. Why are you telling me? Why are you not actually having your balls, holding them, and go speak up to that person and say that actually you stand with me, because it's not changing anything. The fact that you're having this conversation with me, like, I know that I learned that the hard way, and this will be the next part. I want to talk about friendship in the dance community. I want to talk about friendship in the dance community. I have a question to ask you. How are your friendship in this dance community? What do they look like? Just think about it. Think about it. This is a huge issue, and I'm telling you, I learned that the hard way. I was working at the Millennium Dance Complex, and guess what? Everyone wanted to be my friend. And I was new to this industry. I was new to Toronto, and I was like, oh my God, everyone wants to be friends with me. Everyone tell me that, like, I'm amazing, and we're gonna do things together, and this and that. And I was like, everyone love me, but I don't know what I did to these people. I didn't even have a genuine conversation with that person, but they want to be friends with me. And me, naive like I was like, oh my God, Toronto is amazing. Everyone is so nice to me. But it was just because I was a manager at the Millennium Dance Complex. And suddenly people, like, some people, they were clumsy, and after a few months, they were asking me for few studio rental, right? And this is when I started being like, oh, so that's why you wanted to be friends with me. And actually, when I'm saying it, I learned it the hard way when Millennium started having issue, and when the studio closed down, guess what? 10% of the faculty reached out to me to ask me how I was doing. Whereas I was alone, the Millennium was sponsoring me for my work visa. I was not allowed to work for another company until I received my permanent residency. They were dealing with my permanent residency. I just moved to a new place. I was not sure if I was going to have unemployment benefits since I was under a visa. 10% of the faculty reached out to me. Thank you, Amanda Mabelson, Peter De Souza, Cora, Amanda Donato. I'm just shouting out. I'm not even sure if they're here, but like a lot of faculty members did not reach out. They were not here. They didn't give a fuck about me being like alone in Toronto, so far from my family, even if I'm an adult. Do you know how traumatizing it is? How hard it is? And all these people who were pretending that they are my friend, not just from faculty, but from staff, from people coming to the studio. This was so hard for me, and I felt so alone. And I was like, okay, so now, girl, you actually need to redefine your friendship and know like how it works in this industry. Because same thing with the sexual assault. I feel that there is this tendency in the dance industry, and it's not only in Toronto. People are building friendship based on who is trending right now, who has followers, who's doing good, and who's working with who. Oh, you work with Shavelle Blackwood, you work with Leon Blackwood, you know Amanda May, you're good with that, with this person and that. Let's be friends. And suddenly we are friends, and we're shooting like concept video together, and this is so fun, and we are sessioning together, and we make sure that we share it on Instagram so that people know that we know each other. And thanks to that, I'm gonna have more followers, and I'm going to have like people being with me and telling me that I'm cool, and then they're gonna consider me for their piece, and it's gonna happen like this. But what kind of conversation are you having with this friend? I feel that all these friendships are just superficial. They are not genuine. What do you know about that person you decided to be friends with? This person that you claiming she's your best friend right now. Are you actually asking her why she's pursuing dancing? What is her background? What is her relationship with her family? Is her family actually supporting her in her dance journey? Because sometimes a lot of family are not supporting that. What is she doing for a living? What is her goal? What is going on in her life? Is she mentally okay? What is going on right now with the COVID-19? How is she coping? Is she sure that she wants to pursue dancing, or is she doing that just for trending? Like, what is going on in that relationship? And I'm not saying that to throwing shade. I'm genuinely asking, because this is happening so many times in the dance industry, and I've been seeing that during COVID. Sometimes I'm seeing people who are studently hanging out together and are studently friends, and I'm laughing at it. And I'm like, why are you friend right now? Where is that coming from? Oh, she's your best friend? Since when? Like, I need to know, because guess what? If you do not have this genuine relationship and real friendship, how I'm just losing my English right now, because when I'm upset, I'm losing my English. How a person that was victim of a sexual assault will feel comfortable opening up to you about what happened to her if she feels that your relationship is just based on what Isabelle Capitule and Nas Baz are currently doing and which movie is trending. No, but honestly though, honestly, how is it going to happen? And this is an issue not only in Toronto, but in every single dance scene. Who are your real friends? You do not need to be friends with 10,000 people. Why don't you just pick one person or two person where you make sure that you hold yourself accountable, right? You hold each other accountable. When you're going somewhere, I'm going to that rehearsal with that person. Let me share my location with you. We talked about this, we did that. What do you think about working with that choreographer? What did you think about it? Because sometimes also with a relationship, right? When you have an opportunity, you're not gonna talk about it with your friend, because you need to make sure that you're the only one having this opportunity and not your friend. But guess what? You're making this competition right now with your friend, but maybe this friend has valuable information to share with you about that person, that choreographer who's maybe fucked up, right? But you kept it for you because you want to be here and you want your friend to be here. Because in this relationship, there is also this comparison. We always say, and I do not know how you say that saying like in English, but we always say sometimes keep your enemy closer. And this is what happened a lot in this dance industry. Sometimes friendship has built because you can see that this dancer is currently rising. She's working her ass off. And because also Toronto is well known for being one of the most talented city. Like I've never seen dancers that are so hardworking. So because of that, you're seeing someone who's rising, she's getting good. So okay, let me get friends with her to see what's up, what is going on. And sometime I'm gonna like, when she's gonna tell me actually that she doesn't feel good, instead of making her feeling better about herself and hyping her up, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, you're right, there is this, there is that, or me too, I feel like this, I feel like that. Not like lifting each other up, right? Like building that thing with where you were both like being that thing where you don't feel good about yourself. Oh, I don't feel good about sharing that video. What do you think? Honestly, if you don't feel good, girl, don't share that video. Like you're right, like you should not feel that. What? Share that video right now. Share that video right now because no one is perfect. You look amazing. It's a process, you know, we all need to learn from each other. Share that video. Why are you telling her to not share that video? Because you are afraid that people will see how dope she is. She's gonna get more likes. She's gonna get positive comment about that video, and it will make you feel insecure about yourself as an artist. And this happens so much, and this is driving me nuts. I can see everything. I don't say anything, but I can see anything in this industry, not even in Toronto, but in several countries, because I live in France, I live in Boston, but I see what is happening in New York, I see what is happening in LA. Dancers are struggling with a lot of like self-confidence, and because of that, they are competing between each other. And this is when the sexual assault happened, because they are so desperate of recognition and of validation that they will do anything, and I'm saying anything, to get that credit, even if they're adult, and when they're adult, they will have sex with that choreographer. For me, it's still sexual assault. Because even if they are willing to do that and they are adult and they're like, I will go for it, guess what? The choreographer know that you're desperate and that you need that gig. So actually he's playing with you. He or she is playing with you, because with that example, we were able to see that it's happening with female as well, right? And that's why I feel that like friendship are so important, because if you do not build that genuine friendship, well, that's why people are not talking. And I'm saying that because sometimes when I'm seeing sexual assault, I'm like, why did they wait that many years to talk about it to someone? Why are they sharing that on social media? Why your friend did not know that? Well, your friend did not know because your relationship is fake. Your relationship is superficial. That's why she didn't feel confident enough to have that conversation. And like, this need to change, you know? Like, I hope that you are not offended if you are part of these people who are doing that and who have this superficial relationship. I swear it's all coming from love, and I'm just saying that so that you can actually, after that discussion, being like, okay, let me do my homework. Let me write down who I really value as a genuine friend, who is an acquaintance, and right now, let me actually set up a call with this friend and let's set up a boundaries. What are my expectations with this friendship? What do I expect from you? What? Okay, you're my friend. I expect you to tell me when you think that I'm going above and beyond and I should not do that. I expect you to call me out. I expect you to like keep me sane. But one really important piece of advice as well, try to not have only friends within the dance industry. Because yes, it's nice to have dancer friend, but who keeps you sane and keep you grounded? Your friend who are non-dancers. I'm telling you, because when you're part of this industry, this is just a circle, and then you just like you just losing your mind, and you are in your own universe, and you don't see what is actually going on in the real world. Whereas your friend in the real world will be like, girl, you need to chill. You come on. Me, I have like my family and my friends, sometimes they're like, this is too much right now. We need time with you. Dance is not your full-time life, so you're actually gonna try to make time for us right now. And when they're calling me out, I'm like, I'm gonna cancel. I'm gonna cancel, because they're like, you see your friend from dance every time. So actually, you're gonna take a night off and you're gonna spend the night with us. Or we're gonna talk about this and that. And actually, when we're gonna see you, you're not gonna talk about dance. Have you ever have a conversation with people where you don't talk about dance? Because this is important as well. I feel that a lot of dancers, they are so focused in that dance universe that they don't know what to talk about something else as well. And they are also so into themselves that they become, do you say egocentric? Do you say that in English? I'm not sure, right? It's a French term that I just tried to say it's English, but it's not English at all, it's French. But like, they're so self-centered, they just talk about them, they're selfish, and they forget to actually have a conversation and ask the person in front of them, okay, what is going on in your life? Enough talking about me right now. Enough talking about me. Sometimes I have dancers, they're calling me, they talk about them for like 25, 30 minutes, and then they're telling me they have to go. Hi, I'm going well. I'm quarantining alone, so it's not easy. I miss my family. I feel alone, but otherwise I'm doing well. Ask this question to your friend. Don't be selfish. Don't be self-centered. And that's why as well, maybe sexual assault can happen too, because sometimes your friend will have the feeling that you always talk about yourself and you do not want to know about how they are feeling. You genuinely don't want to know about them and what is going on in their life. So yes, Tiffany, you're right. I did not have the time to read what was going on in the chat. I will read it, but I feel this is just what I have to say about that.
Oh wow, Amy, like I don't know if you saw the chat. Everyone was screaming like, "Yeah,
Oh,
get it!" Like, you know, no, and 100% like, go off, go off. You're literally saying everything that everyone has, and it's just so funny because it's like we all have opinions in our community, and we're always talking about community oriented, genuine people. We're great people, and like we idolize or fantasize about like working with this person. But it's like, why don't we actually talk about this with two people? Like, we talk about it with their friends, I understand, and like nobody wants to like talk bad on someone, but if it's for educational purposes and just to better like the environment, then like I think that like it's definitely 100% needed, right? So I think people like overall, I'm just saying like, and again, it depends on your people and your friends, like she mentioned, is just really speak to your people and your peers and really like have that understanding that like you guys are there to support each other, because it really is about like supporting your friends, and your friends are truly a reflective of you and like your personality and your character, right? So for sure, for that, I got a bit of questions for you if you don't mind. Okay, so
hopefully I will be able to answer.
okay, so first one is, as a Black woman and a beautiful Black woman in this industry, what do you think of artistic directors or people in general fetishizing Black women in the community, especially with lighter skin tones?
What do I think about it?
What do you think of like directors who hire Black women, or like people in general, like in our society, like fetishizing Black women?
Well, obviously, I think that this is wrong, you know, but I feel that the issue is that the people around not speaking up and not calling them out. Because as I was saying, if I'm hiring in that type of environment and they will put the light-skinned girls in the front and fetishizing them, people will then come to me to tell me that this is wrong and they should not do that, and they see that and ask me how I feel and this and that, but they will not have the courage to actually go talk to that person and calling them out. So I feel that the work have to be done from non-Black people to actually tell them that this is not okay, but also from the mixed sisters to be like, I feel that you are fetishizing me right now. I feel that I do not deserve that spot, or even it's just tricky because, as I was saying, dancers are such in need of like recognition that like sometimes it's just not honest, and sometimes some choreographer will take it the wrong way too. I remember last year I got hired for Sean Paul music video, and I'm not a really dancehall trend dancers. And then in rehearsal, I literally started to have an anxiety attack because it was with Shamika Blake and Tasha, and they started doing split and stuff like that. And I was like, what I am doing here right now? I'm taking the spot from a professional dancer that like I know so many amazing dancehall dancers. They should have my spot. And I literally told them, maybe you should replace me. Like I don't feel good. They both called me up. They were like, oh, hell no. For one time, we have one dark skinned girl here. You're just going to work twice harder. You're going to figure it out. Everything will be just fine. But you're staying right here. Right in my head, I was like, I'm going to ask Videla. I'm going to ask, I thought about as well, Nicole Couturin. Like, I talk about all these amazing girls that are amazing in dancehall. And I was like, they will do that better than me. Like, maybe I should not be here. And they call me out, but this situation was different, right? But I feel that sometimes it will be nice if like a dancer understand and see that maybe she should not be here, or he should not be here, to speak up and be like, I'm gonna do it. But I personally believe that like you should have given this opportunity to that person, or say, I'm not going to do it. I don't feel that this is for me. For example, booking something that it's more for a specific kind of type of dancer, and you do it and you're like, why are you doing it? Why are you actually doing it right now, you know? And sometimes the choreographer will be like, no, I think you are in the right spot. And sometimes it's right, you know, and do it. And me, from my story, I'm proud of myself and I'm glad I was part of it. And I think I did a good job. Thanks God. Thanks God for that. But otherwise, like, I feel that it should be like the person to speak up and the people who are looking at it as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's such a great answer. Oh my God. One more question before I open up to the public. How I've noticed in our community, and like you've mentioned before, that Black women have to work like twice as hard to just get anything really like out there, or just like even do the work. I see your face. No, it's so true. It's like we have to do double the work than the average female or the universal female, which like sucks. And it's like, okay. So how can our community here in Toronto uplift more Black women to come out and become better leaders?
Well, talk to choreographers such as Hollywood Jade, talk to Amanda May Wilson,
Hollywood Jade.
talk to Shamika Blake, talk to AC Mensa, talk to Tasha, talk to all these amazing people who are actually doing the work to uplift their Black people, because they know that they are in leaders position and they are actually using their position to uplift us and give us our chances, because they know that the other people will not give us our chances. Then to the non-Black choreographers, yes, have this conversation with them, and one more time, try to give us our chances, but one more time, not only to light skin and mixed girl.
Yep.
Because she's mixed. She's mixed. She's not Black. Where are the dark skin? Where is the melanin right now? You know what I mean? And that I'm not throwing shade at the mixed girl, because there are a lot of mixed dancers here that are incredible and they deserve their spot. You know what I mean? I'm not saying don't give them their chances, because some dancers that are non-Black, that are Asian and Latino are so incredible and they deserve their spot in the spotlight. I'm not saying take this opportunity away from them, but try to be more equal and give chances to everyone, because it's just so tiring of when we're going in an audition to literally count how many Black girls are in the room. And when I see a light showing a mixed girl, I'm like, I'm screwed. If they take a Black girl, this is her that they're going to take. This is not us, you know? And it's so tiring. It's so tiring that at some point, sometime I was not going. When I was looking at the list of the people that I was attending in the email, I'm like, I'm out. I'm not gonna take my time to do my makeup and all this stuff and take the commute and go, whereas I know I'm gonna be cut, you know? Sometimes I'm in a good mood and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it for the experience. I'm just gonna go. It's gonna be a good exercise. It's gonna be for fun. I'm just gonna stay in the back, live my best life, and have fun. And sometimes it feels good. But sometimes I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. You're not gonna give me my chance. When I'm seeing certain name, I swear to God, I'm out. And this is not okay. This is not work like that, because I'm pretty sure that if you ask to any non-white dancer, they don't go through that process. They don't go to wondering who's attending, and depending on who's attending, counting how many white people there are in the room, or how many Filipino or Asian or how many like Latino that are in the room, and be like, oh, they're just gonna pick one of us.
Yep. All of that.
Right?
Oh my God. It's so true. And especially it's like so weird to see that people want to be ethical now, and people have either Black people or people of color just so they could say I had a Black person in the piece, or I had a Black person in this show, when it's like that should have been your first priority to do that, instead of you just being like, oh yeah, let me just think of like these 17 people and then let me just grab like 2 Black people. And it's just like, that's useless. Like it doesn't help, like, you know? So yeah, I just want to shout out Hollywood Jade to congratulate him on Drag Race Canada. Phenomenal work, to see that. Like,
this is amazing.
Actually though, oh my God. And like, just like, thank you so much for being such a representative like on our platform, like knowing your hard work and all that you've done. I know we personally like never really like met or spoke, but like I appreciate you. Okay, does anybody have
any... Before I forgot two choreographers that have been creating a show for all dark-skinned women as well, Leon Blackwood and Chris Clark. You know, they were doing that show Femme Noire, and unfortunately it got canceled because of COVID just 1 week before the lockdown, right? And I do have to do a shout out, you know, and I forgot to I apologize if I forget to mention anyone. This is what happened when we do this type of talk as well. I saw that few people who supported me after that Millennium drama. I'm sure I forgot to mention few people. If I forgot you, please, I apologize, but you know who you are, so you don't know me to recognize you here in that platform. And thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to talk. And be ready for Giulia because she's gonna come in with some truth right now.
No, honestly, no, thank you to all the creators in Toronto who have put people of color, especially Black people, on the map. It's because of you that like I'm growing as a person as well and an artist as well. Does anybody have any questions for Miss Amy?
Oh, it's not over.
Yes. Safa, I'm going to steal one of the questions.
Okay, absolutely, go ahead, please.
Okay, hi Amy.
Hi.
My light is on, so you can be.
Yeah.
Okay, give me like 2 seconds because I was jotting down
Of course.
mad notes.
Of course.
Because I want to make sure that I get everything.
Education is key, and this is why I'm calling people out on their performative action, because if you're not taking care of your education for yourself, then like don't post on Instagram with all the graphics. It's not needed. I don't need you anymore, you know? Okay, anyways, thanks.
Okay, so I mean my question was, oh my goodness, what was that? So much written down. I am so sorry. This is so unprofessional. Okay, I remember it. Being a woman and a Black woman at that, there's a lot of talk about how Black women are seen as strong or the superwoman of, you know, any field that they're in. And I understand that, you know, that's great to be called superwoman all the time, but a lot of the time that's often used to mitigate the things that you guys have to deal with and things that you guys shouldn't have to deal with. So relating to your personal life or just in general, how do you feel that the whole entire story of Black women being superwomen has either aided you in being in the dance community or made it worse in kind of hiding the struggles that you have to go through?
Ooh. Okay. That's funny that you're asking that question because we actually had a topic about beyond the strong Black woman stereotype 2 weeks ago in my Brown Sugar Talk talk show. And Amanda Mee Wilson, Shah Kofi, DJ Caraba were part of it. They're all Black female dancers. And obviously, we talked about how it affects us as artists. I feel that it helps and it also brings some challenges. On one end, it helped because thanks to that, I was able to never give up and not take no for an answer. That is to say that when I will have some people not giving me my chances, I will just suck it up and go for it and find another way to make it work. You don't want to give my chance? You don't want to work with me? Fine. I will go to someone else, you know? And like, I feel that this is something that happening a lot as well with a lot of dancers that are all afraid to speak up because they feel that if they call out that choreographer will ruin all that person's chances to work with them in the future, in the near future, or talk to other choreographer and then they will be canceled. Guess what? Be canceled. It's okay. Someone else will give you your chance because karma is a bitch and everything will, like, the truth will come out at some point, right? I am so sorry for insulting. I should not be talking this way. I'm sorry. But I feel that these have helped me to just be like, okay, I'm always going to figure it out and I'm always going to find a way and I'm going to make it work. The hard part, though, is the fact that because of society, because of media, being seen as a Black woman, we always say, oh, you've been through it all, so you can handle it. You're so strong. You've been through that. You've been to struggle with your paperwork. You've been to like living abroad and being alone. You've been through having a studio closing down. I'm not even worried for you. Everything's gonna be just fine. But guess what? We are vulnerable. We have a heart. Sometimes we just want to cry. We just want to feel bad. We just want to have a bad day. We just want to just give up and be tired. But I feel that just because of the fact we have Black women, we are not allowed We are not allowed to be tired. We are not allowed to give up. We are not allowed to stop. We can do that for maybe like a night, but the day after, you better get your shit together, right? Because if you're not, well, they're not going to give you your chance to keep going. Because if you mess up one time as a Black woman, your chances are done.
Thank you for your answer. I really appreciate it.
That's so true. When you said if you mess up as a Black person one time and you're done, that's so true. That's happened to me so many times. But yeah. Does anybody else? Actually, no, we don't have any more time for questions. But thank you so much, Amy, for for just saying that part and everything else and just being unapologetically you. I appreciate you so much and everything. We will be posting all of the social medias and their other initiatives on our social media throughout the days. But this also will be recorded if you want to tell your friends, which you should be because half of them aren't here to do it. So yeah, thank you so much for it all. Yay. Just to let everyone know, we will be going over just by like 10 minutes, but obviously this conversation is too good. But yeah, I told you guys that from the beginning. Anyways, finally, for our last speaker, which is gonna be a doozy, Giulia Tripoli. Giulia Tripoli has been dancing and choreographing and creating on local, national, and international stages since 2008. Wow, that's insane. Over a decade. Wow. Building a career based on respect for the discipline and passion for the art. Dance has been her vehicle for change both in herself and those she is fortunate enough to teach. Her unique style has become a trademark for growth and innovation that can exist in the dance industry. She is the founder of both Tripoli Studios, Inc. and its agency of 60 professional dancers. Claps for that. She has developed a reputation in industry for precision, professionalism, and polish. And I know that because I've been a part of your classes and like insane. And you're so great. Her studio has become a Montreal staple for any dancer looking to train in an open and accepting environment. Giulia continues to use her voice to advocate for artists in order to create change within the community. So please let's take a round of applause for Giulia Tripoli, our last speaker. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much and enjoy Giulia's talk.
Thank you so much. This is crazy. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Make sure that part's good.
Yep.
I invite everyone to turn their cameras on, even if you look like a hot mess. I don't really care. I love faces. Yeah, hello, there we go. Hi, Angel. Hi, babes. Hi, beautiful people. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Safa, thank you so much for doing this, for hosting this. Thank you, Guesthouse. Hello, gorgeous humans. Yay. Ali, thank you for starting us off with so many wonderful insights and topics. I think the over-sexualization of young men and women is a pertinent topic. Thank you, Jade, for sharing your story. Jade, if you're still there, je veux juste dire allô à Michel, my little French baby. Amy, merci beaucoup. I think you're a beautiful soul. You know how much I love you and appreciate you. And to everyone on here for taking the time to do this and continuing to listen in on these important conversations. I think it's vital. And these are conversations we should have been having from time, but now when we know better, we can do better and we'll keep moving forward. Yes, for the people in their beds and cooking shit, and that's what's up. Just you do what you gotta do. You can multitask and listen. Crazy how the world now works. My name is Giulia. I am an owner and director of a studio in Montreal, but I used to live in Toronto, and pre-COVID, I was usually there about once a month. It has a very special place in my heart, and I feel very connected to the Toronto dance community. I also feel the support and the love from all of you out there in Toronto, and I appreciate it very much. I know a lot of you are coming to visit me as soon as COVID is kind of up. I think Laura's coming to visit soon, so thank you guys. You can come by anytime. Amy, I don't care if Millennium opens or not. You can come work for me. All right. So that.
I think I've been traumatized, and now I'm going to stick to digital marketing.
I have been asked to franchise the studio in Toronto. That would be kind of insane if anybody wants to take it. No, okay. through COVID, I've actually decided, don't tease us. Through COVID, I've actually decided to kind of keep my voice rolling, and I've been doing information and inspiration lives on Instagram every Monday. And that's just been my way of kind of sharing and continuing all kinds of important conversations. That has led to also my podcast in collaboration with Roy and the Dance Plug. Shout out to Roy for being one of the best people on the planet. I'm really happy to be using my voice, and I hope that more and more people can find ways to find their own path, their own lane, and their own voices. Just by you guys being here tonight is one step closer to figuring out your purpose and your why. Safa gave me a lot of great subjects to touch upon. I'm going to do my best here. If there's anything I don't answer, or if there's anything you want to talk to me about later, I'm always open. You can message me on Instagram anytime. My injustices as a young dancer, I started at 18, were more about my mentors feeling that they were able to manipulate me in a mental abusive manner. And I was a bit naive in thinking that standing up for what's right at all times would be a good thing, whereas it was recognized more as a negative thing, and I was looked at like I was crazy. I was constantly being thrown under the bus by the other girls in my group who didn't want to shake the table and who didn't want to upset the men in charge. This was something I didn't understand. Thank you, Hollywood, for your extraness. I appreciate you. This was something I didn't understand because I was raised to do what's right no matter what. And I never felt like I was testing any type of norm by speaking up. That's just what you were supposed to do. That's just what it was. And I never felt like I couldn't do anything as a woman. I played sports. I was on the Quebec water polo team, for anybody that knows what water polo is. I played soccer. I lifted weights. I started in breaking, and I wanted to be able to do all of the tricks that the boys did. I didn't care if my boobs got squashed or in the way. I was doing whatever I wanted to do, and that was it. And I never felt like I was competing with the men either or trying to do better than them, because I just wanted to be me. And I know a lot of times as women, we feel like we have to do better than, but we brought it up at the very beginning. We're not trying to be better than, we're trying to be at the same level just so we get appreciated in the same way. It's not about revenge. And much like the Black Lives Matter movement, I feel like the Black people are not trying to, if we were trying to make this entire thing about revenge, we would have to put, white people in slavery for 400 years, and then maybe we would be on a good start. We are trying to just make it equal. We are trying our best. So when it comes to men and women, I don't feel like I ever didn't get a job because I was a female. If I didn't get the job, in my headspace, I just wasn't right for the job, because I presented myself as never wanting to be a token. I wanted to get it because I was the right person for the job. End of story. And that's how we need to perceive things as we go forward in order to make more women and more people of color appear in places of leadership and of power. We need to understand that those people cannot be tokens, and it cannot be a checkbox on your diversity flyer. It needs to be for real, and we need to do the work. And anybody being accepted in these jobs needs to ask if they're being a token or not. If you appear as the only woman on the panel or the only Black person on the panel, you need to question why. And much like these conventions, they get an all-female roster, amazing, one time, 1 month out of 12. It needs to be integrated. It needs to be normalized. But I never accepted what was supposed to be normal. Not because I was trying to be a feminist or a rebel, because that's just how I was raised. And I'm very thankful for how I was raised, because I was taught that as a woman, I could literally do anything. As a human being, I could literally do anything. And we need to start instilling that confidence in everyone, especially women, as pertaining to this conversation, so that situations don't continue to happen. In order to change the narrative, we need to evoke actual change, and we need to have this confidence within ourselves to understand that we are capable of anything. And if you're ever in a situation where someone tells you otherwise, you can tell them to, okay? That's how I feel about that. Ali brought up something really great at the beginning, and it starts with the younger generation. As teachers, as dancers, as mentors, as people in any position to talk to anyone of our age or younger, maybe even older, we have a responsibility. We have a massive responsibility. We are molding young minds, and we need to understand that we cannot shape them into disgusting, dark places. We have a responsibility to be educating, to be showing, to be inspiring, to be letting them know that they can be whatever body type they want, whatever look they want, they can eat what they want. As long as you are healthy and happy, you are not hurting anyone else, you are not hurting yourself, you can do as you wish. We need to do better when it comes to what it is that we are teaching this younger generation. If it's about, you know, the Fever After Dark situation where we don't allow the young ones to be in there and see all these things, that's one thing we can definitely fix. When it comes to Jade's point of having people in these studios to kind of monitor what's happening, owners, teachers, choreographers, parents, open your eyes. Open your eyes a little more than accepting the paychecks from people and putting them aside. Then entering comp and not understanding that the entire category where little Susie is wearing a bikini and showing her vajayjay to the world comes in first to the Pussycat Doll song when none of that should even exist. It all needs to start happening. The narrative change is massive. And it comes with student, parent, teacher, choreographer, artistic director, comp owner, events, planners, everyone. Everyone needs to do better in order for the narrative to change. And we have to understand that it needs to be real change, not performative change. So when it comes to more specifically these different types of abuse, I feel like the one that goes untalked about or unnoticed is the mental and verbal harassment, the mental and verbal abuse. Manipulation is massive. I think we think that assault, harassment, and abuse are not as pertinent if it is not as evident as something physical or sexual. But physical and sexual usually comes after the mental or verbal harassment manipulation. And we need to understand that those are huge things too, and we need to look out for those signs. Anyone who preys on other people is a shitty person. Anyone who abuses their power is a shitty person. Anyone who uses their art form as a way to manipulate others is a shitty, shitty person. In this dance world, if someone is using dance to manipulate young minds, you deserve to be put on a boat and sent into the middle of the sea and never, ever, ever come back. That's how I feel. Now, the issue is mental abuse tends to go on longer because it isn't as evident, and it can be really, really small. So grooming, we've all heard of grooming. This can be something as simple as, you know, attacking young dancers at a younger age with really small things. You know, that was okay today, but you need to work on this. That was all right, but you don't fit in the costume. You might need to lose a little weight. You also need to maybe change your this. You need to fix your that. You need to do this. Why didn't you get this? Why are you so dumb? Why are you stupid? Why are you, you know, these things are small. And they're things we accept because a lot of times we want to work with these people. We want so bad to work with these people. And the parents, like you guys were mentioning before, want their children to work with these people because these are the choreographers that do something. But a lot of the time, those choreographers that are full of false promises. If you come to my class, I'll give you this. If you do my free show, I'll get you that. I promise I'll put you in my music video if you just show up to all of my workshops this month. That's manipulation. That is bad. You should never be forced or guilt-tripped into showing up to anyone's anything. I don't want you coming to my class if you feel like you have to. Don't come. Please don't come. If you're thinking about it now, you're knowing someone who has said something like this to you. You're knowing someone who's expressed this story to you. You also know that you've gone back over and over again to these same shitty people because you want that thing, you want that job. Amy made an excellent point. A lot of these things happen because we want that job so bad. We think we're going to further our career so bad, but we need to say no. We need to start saying no. The false promises are a major, major issue. Really though. You gotta say no. I have said no so many more times than I've said yes. And I have, I would say, the slowest growing career in the history of female dance leaders because I chose to say no. And you know what? I'm 35 and I feel real good about it. Because is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? That time you said yes and you had that knot in the pit of your stomach. Was it really worth it? Did it make you that much of a better person? That one line on your resume, guess what? We barely even look at that anymore. Just letting you know. I need to know who you are as a person. I want to know who you are as a human being, and that's where I'm going to hire you and work for you. I don't care what you look like. I care about what you think about yourself. If you're going to be professional, and if you're going to continue to be kind and genuine no matter what situation I put you in. And I've always felt this way, but for some reason, this way was not a way that was accepted. Makes no sense to me. But I think we're finally starting to realize the power of no. And I've always said you need to KNOW to say NO. You need to know to say no, which also involves knowing yourself, knowing what you're capable of, knowing who you are. Way too many people take advantage of young dancers. I'm saying young, but a lot of the times it can go until any age, to be perfectly honest. But a lot of the times people take advantage of it because people who are able to manipulate know just how to talk to you. We are all born with the ability to manipulate others. Some of us choose to use that for good, encourage, inspire. Some of us choose to use that for bad, condemn, and hold their thumbs over others so they get good, but not good enough, not any better. Just like Amy was talking about our friends and checking our circle. Why is it that you don't post that you're going to an audition? Why is it that you don't post that you're doing this workshop? Why is it that you don't tell your friends, etc.? Because you want to keep it for yourself. This is also a form of manipulation. Newsflash, it does not dim your sparkle when you shed light on others. That actually makes you brighter. We need to stop hoarding these things for ourselves and not supporting one another. Why am I the only person at an audition screaming for everyone? Why? Why? Why is that such an absurd thing? Why am I at comp yelling for everybody? Why? Why? Why am I giving people personal compliments as they come off stage, even though I'm in the same show as you? Because they were good. And they deserve to know that they were good. We need to stop. We need to stop. Because the better we feel about ourselves and we project that betterness onto others, the more likely we will not be susceptible to the terrible manipulations of this dance community. The better we feel about ourselves, the more able we are to say no. If we keep each other down and we don't lift each other up, this narrative doesn't change. The shitty people continue to be in power because we don't have enough confidence to rise. So we need to start understanding that the little things we do and the little things we say are massive. Are massive. Everyone deserves to reach their full potential, and we can help each other get there. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It was mentioned before too, that women often feel like they need to compete against each other. I know it happens with women of color especially. Amy, we've talked about this before, and I've had other conversations too, because you do walk in the room a lot of the times and you go, oh, this is my competition. For me, I always walked in, I was like, oh, anyone that's a questionable ethnicity, you're my competition today. But you know what? I'm really happy to be here. Let's just do this. Sometimes I got the job. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I thought it was based on look. Sometimes it's based on talent. That's a narrative we're trying to change as well. Being chosen for who you are and what your talent level is. But let's try from now on to truly lift one another up. That being said, not fake support. Do not put fire emojis on a video that doesn't even deserve a double tap. Get your lives together. You need to genuinely support. This doesn't mean always doing, oh my God, Hollywood just came running at the screen. Real, genuine support is your love and appreciation for one another. You can clap, you can cheer, you can help. But if someone is truly your friend and you care about them, your support needs to be genuine. Because just like Amy said, we're supporting all of these big names in the industry, but what are they really doing for you? You're commenting on stuff just to show that you commented on these people's things. Stop that. Stop that. Support local businesses for real. Go buy their products. Pay full price. Support your friends for real. Go to their classes. Don't ask to guest. Support your local studios. Support anything properly. And if you've got something to say in a beautiful conversation, try your best to approach it with love. So this is going to lead me into how I feel about accountability versus cancel culture, because this has to do with the genuine support that we can now be giving one another properly. I personally am not a believer in cancel culture, as I feel in order for the narrative to properly change, we need to allow people the opportunity to change and grow. If you've got your friend circle, you love and care about them, you should be talking to them and not about them. And you should be trying your best to have genuine conversations. Holding someone accountable is based on care and love. Canceling someone completely is based on hate and anger, and hate doesn't solve hate. We cannot keep rising without the love part. With the exceptions, of course, of those who have, severe mental disorders and have committed major crimes and deserve major punishment, people do have the ability to change for the better. And our brains are able to be rewired to get rid of those little mistakes, to get rid of those little nuances, okay? I spoke yesterday in my live with Derek Robinson. It's still on my IGTV if you guys want to check it out. A lot about narrative change. Approaching conversations intelligently and free of any major emotion. You need to check your trigger first. If something bothers you, understand why first before you come at someone. You need to know why that triggers you, because a lot of the times it could be something that you're bothered with in your own soul. So take a second, check it out, see how you genuinely feel about it. If it's still bothering you, collect your thoughts and maybe let that person know that you would like to have a conversation. When you do let someone know, and when you receive that from someone else, don't get defensive right away. Don't come at them either. They're coming to you with in a place of care, love and respect. You're going to owe them that same thing. So for me, if someone yells at me, I'm literally going to yell back. No one's listening anymore. Nothing gets changed. If I figure out why this is really hurting me, I come up with an intelligent argument. I have a great conversation. People change. The narrative changes, and that person becomes more educated to then let others know how to fix the same problem, right? You cannot fix a mistake unless you know about it. And if you cancel someone for making that mistake, they keep making that mistake. You've just canceled them. So the narrative will never change. Having this conversation alone, Ali and her amazing points, Jade and her story, Amy and her insight, these are great points to take into ourselves and understand that if we've ever done anything in the past, we have the ability to fix it. And if you know of anyone who's done anything in the past, they have the ability to fix it too. You got to give them the chance. Because if we just cancel everybody out, we cannot make this world a better place. We can't. That means everybody's canceled, but everyone's still going around the same shit they've been doing. Now, I understand when it comes to massive things that require law, that it's tough. I know Jade's story is tough, and I myself have gone through some things as well, and the system is hard. The system is hard, so we feel like it's easier sometimes to make Instagram announcements, to just completely erase these situations and these people. To each his own when it comes to this, truthfully, because I understand how rough the system can be. But that's how we have to at least try to do it. we have to at least try to go about it the right way. We do. You need to speak to someone to heal, and you need to, if that person deserves to be put away somewhere, try your best to go through the law. If the law is not working for you, I'm terribly sorry, but you need to at least find that space to heal in any way possible. Jade's story is so beautiful to me, and Jade, I hope you don't mind me saying this, because even though it didn't work in your favor law-wise, I truly feel like your purpose was to come forward and help so many other people know that they are not alone. I really do feel that way. Because when I came forward 10 years ago, I felt so alone and not a single person believed me. And I was canceled for coming forward. To this day, I have people from my previous studio and the man that abused me apologizing to me because they were taught, they were groomed to hate. They were groomed to not like me because I was some sort of crazy lady that left and whistle blew, whatever you want to call it. And if someone had believed me 10 years ago, if I had pushed a little harder, I would have saved 10 years worth of men and women who are still abused by this person. So for anyone out there who feels like they cannot share their story, please know, and I think Jade kind of mentioned it, if you do come forward, gently if you need it, you might be saving other people from going through the same thing. That's what's amazing about coming forward with these stories. It doesn't make us weak. It makes us strong and beautiful. We have survived something and we're going to be better for it. And I'm here to tell my story, much like any of you here are thinking about things that you've been through or friends of yours have been through, etc. I want you to know that I'm here to listen at any time. Happy to. My abuse was mental. It was very manipulative. But because I always stood up for myself, he was so good at manipulating my ability to stand up for myself by saying, I respect you for standing up for yourself. I'm going to keep you close as my BFF. You're going to tell me all the things. So these people who are manipulative, they know how to get to you. They know. Think about it a little. If anybody feels this way about someone they know, I'm happy to talk about it. This man that I was abused by was denounced in an article for also physically and sexually abusing other men and women of the dance community. If you want to read up on it or know more about it, I'd be happy to send you things. The article's in French, but I'll find you the English version. This is just so you know that there are still people in power who shouldn't be there. And we need to uplift one another, and we need to put the good people forward so the shitty people can no longer work. This leads me to my last point, and that Safa's asked me to talk about my call-in project. So for those of you that haven't seen it, I have 2 IGTV videos up on my Instagram. It's the call-in, Are You Ready to Be Called In? And the official launch will be this Friday at 1 p.m. live on Insta, and then we're going global. 1 p.m. live on my Instagram, Friday, July 31st. This is a call in rather than a call out. It's based on putting forward all the great people in our community to the point where those shitty people have no choice but to step down or get taken down and be completely forgotten. I no longer wish to spend my time and energy on terrible humans. This is about community over competition. This is about knowing to say no. For those of you that have called in, you've written me an email at readytobecalledin@gmail.com. All of you can still write to me if you wish. And this is about putting teams together of people who want to help in different aspects of the dance community. Basically, we are working on certifications, we are working on assistance, we are working on resources, we are working on hooking you up with different people from all across Canada and the US that wants to be working on the same thing as you. So I understand that I cannot change all dance problems overnight and by myself. So by doing this and having all these different amazing teams, then we're going to be able to do it together. I also have ambassadors who are going to be the faces and voices of various topics. We want to provide seminars, and this is a lot about human rights info. It's less about the dancing and more about the human right aspect. Amy mentioned something great about police checks and certifications. Those are only mandatory when it comes to when you're teaching in actual schools, or at least that's how it works here in Quebec. I've always said, well, why are we not doing that like it's a regular job? A dance teacher is a job that we should take seriously, and references and background checks should be something normal. Certification to show that you've done your diversity work, you've done your inclusion work, you've done your sexual assault, mental and physical assault, trauma prevention work. So these are things we're going to be doing. We will have a ton of resources for you. It's basically going to be a place where the industry can come together, not only to recognize all the problems, but to actually find solutions. And some we've already found solutions for, just letting you know. So that is my spiel for this evening. And I thank you all so, so much for your time and energy. Thank you.
Like so organized, so like literally like you were like hitting all the questions I had, and I was like, damn, she doesn't want this question. Damn.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's good. It's like made my job easier. Thank you. And like you really like, you know, made people listen to like growth and like how to support people and just like everything. And also to those like, I don't know, I don't think anyone here canceled Giulia Tripoli, but whoever canceled you,
no, it's not. It's no one here.
Whoever canceled you needs to cancel themselves, because they just need to get out. Like horrible, get out. Like nobody needs you. You know, Mama G president. Actually, so I have a few questions before we go. I know we're running over time, but I hope you guys can still stay for us to do these questions. So one of them is, what are your opinions on female-run programs by males? Do they run contrary to empowering women within the community, or do they still uphold the male patriarchy?
Okay. I love this question, actually, and my dear friend Hollywood Jade is on, and I'm gonna talk about him. This kind of reminds me of a story I heard a while back at a feminist women's rights parade. A group of men showed up in support of women's rights, had their signs, had their t-shirts ready to march, and the women organizing the march asked them to leave, that they wouldn't start the march unless the men left. Much like I feel, and I can be wrong, but much like I feel like in the Black Lives Matter movement, it is necessary for those of us that are not of color to speak up. I do feel like in the women's rights movement, we need men on our side. If a man is running an all-female program and they are qualified and the women know ahead of time what they're getting into, I see nothing wrong with it. Hollywood Jade runs Urbanesque, and Hollywood Jade is the epitome of qualification and having diversity and inclusion and making sure everyone is safe and welcome at all times. I truly feel like there's nothing wrong with a man running an all-female program, because if we say there's something wrong with that, then we say that a woman can't run an all-male program. I truly feel like it can go both ways. I feel like there are unqualified females leading females. I feel like there are unqualified men leading men and mixes, etc. So if a man is qualified, you know ahead of time what you're getting into. They're not degrading towards the women. They are uplifting the women, much like I feel Hollywood does. Then there is nothing wrong with it. That's how I feel about a man running a women's program.
No, it's good, because like I personally never thought of like the women can't run all male programs, because like you don't see that happening at all. Like, and I'm sure like if women were to come, people would be like, you don't got like a dick, so it's like why? Or like not even just like a penis, just like in general. But like, yeah, thank you for that like insightful answer.
There's also there are some men that identify more as women or with, you know, more of the women's psyche, I would say, and vice versa. So we have to accept that too. If there are men that are in the LGBTQ plus community and also feel like they identify more with women or whatever it is, that we have to be accepting of that as well, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vice versa. Yeah.
And I'm glad you use Hollywood Jade as like a perfect example. He is a perfect example of that. And like, again, somebody made a comment how like he never told them to change the way it ends. Like those are the supporters and people that we absolutely need. And there are people like that here in Toronto. And I hope there's more people like that all around Canada. One other question is, let me just find it. What are the obstacles and behaviors standing in? Sorry, one second. Ooh. Yeah. So what are obstacles and behaviors standing in the way of normalizing the empowerment of women in the community and industry? What are things that should be normalized?
Women supporting other women at all costs.
Yes, just that.
End of it. Like, end of it. That's it. And spoke about genuine support. Yeah, protecting each other, of course. It's genuine support. It's understanding that it's not just clapping for someone else.
Yeah.
It's being there when they need it. Like Amy said, a friend to listen to, like Jade said, teachers checking in on the younger women, etc. It's genuine support for one another.
Absolutely.
And shedding light and sparkle everywhere you go. Unicorn that shit.
Yes, Mama G. Oh my God. One more question before I open it up to the public. Do you believe that cancel culture is good or bad for the topic of sexual violence against women?
Okay. I think we need to be intelligent in our accusations, and we need to understand the difference between a shitty text message, a flirty hand on the knee, and, pardon me, trigger warning, a full-out rape. We need to understand those differences. And like I said before, if we cancel people, we don't change the narrative. But obviously a majorly traumatic experience where someone does not want to go back and have a conversation with their rapist is acceptable. You need to be intelligent, you need to be intellectual, you need to understand that there are levels and a balance to everything. You know, so when it comes to that, if you think that you can hold someone accountable and you think that this could have been a one-time thing or this could be something that can be fixed, please go ahead and do so. Only if you have the time, energy, and space. What's happening now, I don't know if this is happening in Ontario, but in Montreal, we are having multiple Instagram accounts solely for victims' voices at the moment. And it's in the restaurant industry, tattoo and piercing industry, a lot of Quebec artists, etc. And the issue I'm having is people are coming forward with stories from 15 years ago. 15 years ago, so-and-so did something to me and I didn't like it. But they never told them over 15 years. And now that Instagram is such a prevalent thing, they're coming forward with an Instagram story and this person's life is being ruined. We need to make intelligent choices. If you never told anyone over 15 years that they did something to you that made you uncomfortable, but then you want to yell them on Instagram, it's hard. That cancel part is hard for me to swallow, to understand. I want people to try their best to be intellectual in what it is that they're doing. There's obviously a massive difference between a story like Jade's and someone that just sent a shitty text message that you can be like, yo, bro, that made me uncomfortable. Let's talk about it. You shouldn't be speaking this way. So a balance between accountability and cancel culture would probably be my final answer.
Yeah, definitely, like knowing the difference between both, and canceling culture is just like the one person probably just didn't like eggs and you made them like an egg breakfast and like,
yeah.
You know, just
because
stuff like that.
The problem then becomes all those stories get muddled together, and the ones that really, really need help and really, really should be, you know, looked at, driven, and pushed towards the law get shut down by other stories of people who, let's say, just have more followers or wrote it a little better, etc. They can't be mixed together like that. We need to learn to separate and do the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just gonna say also, like, although like with what's been happening in the world and what's always been happening, like it's not like when people are looking for like education and just so people are educated, like it's not the responsibility of like Giulia or me as like a female to educate you, or like Amy or any other Black person to like educate you on Black or like on Black initiatives. Like just figure it out, you know, ask questions if you have it, but there's Google. Like Google is like, if you know a way how to research things, you can find it. The internet is such a vast thing that all you got to do is just do it.
Right.
But like, yeah, I definitely wanted to just say that. Okay, so with that being said, does anybody have questions for Giulia?
I know it's late, but if I'm down.
Or did you also silence everyone, because that was incredible.
I
just want to shout all y'all out for this. I know I was late to the conversation, but it is, I think it's so high. I think it's so important that we continue to have these conversations, and that it's women speaking on issues that are affecting women, so that we can hear it from your perspective. And this was lovely to listen to. You guys brought up so many really, really great points. Jade, I'm sorry I missed yours. I really am, because I know it was a lot, but this is great. That's all I gotta say.
Yay! Thank you so much. Does anybody else have a question, comment, concerns about life in general?
Questions, comments, coconuts is what I always say.
Oh, yeah.
Yo looks like scrambling for something there. You're trying to find anyway, yeah, if you don't have any questions now, but you think of something later, I'm always open for conversations. And I'll just end with, if there isn't a seat for you at the table, fuck that table and make your own.
Yes, to that. Oh my God. Yes, to that. Like, can't express that so much, because that's happened to me so many times, and which is why, like, and like my friends too, which is why GUESThouse became like a thing, because it's an initiative created by friends for friends that probably weren't welcomed at the table, you know. Oh my God,
make your own.
Screaming on the inside. Oh my God. Thank you so much for your talk and everything. I really appreciate you and everything. For closing notes, thank you to all of the speakers, Ali, Amy, Jade, and Giulia, for just giving us your resources, your time, and your energy. This talk went more well than I ever thought it could. So thank you guys so much. And thank you guys for like just being super great people. Just to let you guys know, like there will be a resource document being attached to the GUESThouse IG, where you can, where we'll be posting some of the resources that some of our speakers mentioned, like the website Jade mentioned, the movie, as well as some of Giulia's call-in information, just so you guys have everything in one place. It also has other resources for donation links, protests is happening, educational resources, Black-owned businesses in Toronto, and we divided them up between Canadian resources and US resources, so you guys understand and know everything. I definitely want to say we're going to keep continuing to upload that for our community. Last note is normalize changing your opinion after the fact and unlearning your already formed opinions. We are hope-driven people, and hope drives the longevity of our fight. So keep fighting and keep supporting yourself and your peers. Do not comply with willful ignorance just to save your own butts, because look what happened to the studio out in the West in Mississauga. And we know who I'm talking about, and I'm gonna just say that, you know, not saying the name just to keep our souls safe and I don't get in trouble, because I'm in med school, I can't get in trouble. But, you know, just, yeah. So definitely, you know, and Giulia, please, if there's a way you can like kind of franchise out to Toronto, please do. Come through. With people here, I would have loved to be a part of that. Anyways, I just want to give a quick shout out to special individuals who definitely helped me throughout this. Katrina Castro, aka Minuscule Lens, Johan C. Guthrie, my friends Matthew Morales and Jonathan C. Pierce, my other friends Tommy Watt, Ian Simon, and by the way, it's Ian's birthday. Happy friggin' birthday, Ian! Woo! Thank you so much for doing the graphics and just being an all-around person. Thanks for letting me bother you at any time of the night. Thank you to Kin Union for being the inspiration to all of this. Because of you, Kin, you have done so much for us and so much for me, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone here who's done everything, and just even being a part of GUESThouse's conversations. We all know who is here, and we all know who should have been here, and they're not here. So you know what? At least we know, you know, and it's cool. you know, just to let you know, there is going to be a part 2 happening on Thursday, this Thursday. Part 2 will also be about real talks, but it'll be from the survivor's perspective. So really talking about the science of like trauma and trauma, fight or flight response, how to confidently speak out about this, some law and integration and such, and just so it's more insightful. So we have like the real talks that we talked originally, and then it's kind of transitioning into like more of like the actual real talks and like the political ways and everything. So I feel like that's super insightful, and everybody should be there because you also would like to know as well, and they can tell you definitions that you probably don't even know, right? So I just want to shout out to everyone. I'm not the only person on GUESThouse. There's a whole team behind me, and I'm so thankful to every single one of them. So thank you guys so much, and thank you everyone here for being a part of this, and thank you for staying so late. Does any of the speakers have any last comments, concerns?
Thanks, Safa. You're the best.
Thank you,
so
Ali.
much
Oh
to
yeah,
the
also
guest, your
thank you to Ali
team.
for like, yeah, thank you.
Merci.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. I just want to say thank you to Ali also for like, this is like, she was one of the first people that I reached out to, and she definitely helped me in like aspiring me to kind of like even just go on with this, and she's been super helpful, and I love you, Ali, and I'm really excited that more people can see your rants. Yeah, sorry, did any of the speakers have last minute comments, concerns, anything?
Yeah, I will just say, if you're trying to find another way to educate yourself, try to attend the Brown Sugar Talk. It's happening every 2 Wednesdays. I always talk about different topics, and I have guests on, so you don't have to deal with my French accent for an hour. I swear I do not talk
Love your
much.
accent.
Yep.
But yeah, just try to like spread the word, support each other's, and yeah, keep educating yourself in different way. And thank you so much for your time, everyone, and thank you for offering us this opportunity. It was really an honor to be with this amazing woman, to be reunited with Ali as well. So thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, guys. Support Brown Sugar Talks, happening every Wednesday. Their IG is
Every 2 Wednesdays. Every 2 Wednesdays.
Every 2 Wednesdays. Look at me learning something new. I'm a horrible person. But yeah, also, yeah, support her, support Amy. I'm going to be posting all the social medias and everything. GUESThouse will be posting everything for people to share and know. Support, and we're here talking about support, so support your fellow speakers here, support each other. You know, don't be with the fake bullshit. And yeah, anyways, just wanted to say your network is your net worth. In order for you to be a great person, you have to be a great person to other people. Love each other, and I hope everyone's going to be in good health along with their families. Other than that, have a great night, guys, and be safe.
Thank you, Safa.
Bye-bye.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye, friends.
I'm okay.